KP, what I love about this is the fact that we're finally out of the best of 5 realm and we get into the best of 7 world, because I feel like this is where the ultimate match of skill comes out, where we're really seeing people who can play civs to the best of their abilities. And with the next DLC, we'll see even more of these civs. But boys, we have some stats here in front of us, and KP, walk me through it. How do you feel about these numbers?
I think if we keep showing these win rates, I think for MarineLorD, we just start skipping his win rates, because we keep this up, his head is going to get too big to get in a plane to travel to any lands he's attending, like the one later this month, right? So we're not doing him any favors here. The ego's getting too big. I did say something, like we were trying to set up Anno, LucifroN, Vortex to take him down, because so far, MarineLorD has not dropped a single game this entire event. It's got to be, surely, setting up some sort of trip up, right?
It's something in the water, KP, because MarineLorD, he just doesn't show any weakness, and it might just be because he's got such a sparkling personality and he just intimidates people at some point, where he's like, hey, you have no chance against me, I'm the best player. But guys, we have Coastal Cliffs, and may the best player win, because we know that this map is a little bit more action-packed usually, especially when you see the picks right here in front of us. And we'll take some time a little bit later to go through the rest of the draft, but Japan versus Rus? I'm smelling something spicy.
Rus definitely has been an anchored pick here. Japan just seems to be taking over everywhere. Something about the Age of Empires community becoming weebs more and more as the weeks go on. I don't blame them. It's a fun civ. But it's interesting to think, like, this is the last opportunity before MarineLorD's in a grand finals in this event for someone to prove that he can bleed, to cut, maybe even just a millimeter deep. And LucifroN, in fairness to him, I don't know about you, I had Vortex pegged to be the boy that could slay the beast. The fact that LucifroN beat his bro convincingly starts to inspire me.
And LucifroN is going to have to put on a pretty heavy show here, because MarineLorD is the man to take down. But I would say that the whole path for LucifroN, it wasn't as smooth as I would say it was for Vortex. But now he looks ready. And this is something that I wasn't too sure about, because LucifroN recently started working again. He is not in the same full-time sphere as most of these top players, but it doesn't look like it. The talent is shining. From the days of StarCraft, this man is carrying himself all the way through here to the Winners Bracket Finals, which is pretty insane.
Well, let's be real about the journey. From the days in Warcraft, to the days in StarCraft, to the days in Age of Empires 4, to the days in Zero Space, to the days in Stormgate, and then back to Age of Empires 4 again after, well, I guess it'll be the Knights in these games, after going back to having like a career, I believe it was software dev, if I'm not mistaken. It's crazy to think, like, you know, Vortex and LucifroN, they've always had this ability to just shine off of pedigree and skill, but it doesn't get higher pedigree than this. Game number 1, an upper brackets final to decide who will be the first into the EGC Masters Fall Finals. Will it be the expected force in MarineLorD, or could this man here, LucifroN, be the one to slay the unslayable?
I really wanted to do a little French accent on LucifroN's name, because it fits so well.
It does. Thank you.
Okay, this man is opening with a little bit of spice here. We see here on the spears now. Now, back in the day, we saw a lot of spearmen play with pushing the deer, especially. But now they have different targets in sight. And with MarineLorD being a little bit of a greedy goose here, building that hunting cabin quite far out, he actually has to be a little bit more conservative about that wall placement as well, to ensure that those spears don't actually land any damage on that hunting cabin. So investing in the double one, we've had some plays where some players prefer to do the single one, but on this map, one of your hunting cabins, when they're optimal, is just going to be outside the range of the TC. MarineLorD knows of these risks, and he's making sure to mitigate it.
Yeah, and it is interesting. Yeah, I wonder if he's doing this. He's doing the V for victory on the tree line. So he's already walled the gap. He walls the secondary side. And then if he wants afterwards, he can go back for a hunting cabin. Wait, ooh.
Oh, that TC is not hitting.
Yeah, I wonder what the thought process was there for MarineLorD, because if you look just north, he's walled it up. So presumably he could have just dropped this right next to the TC and then delayed this one a little. But he was a greedy boy. He wanted that double stacker like we all do when we play Rus.
And getting that extra bit of gold is going to give him a little bit more leeway with what he wants to do in this early stages of the game. But we know that Rus is not that dirty civilization we've been seeing with the fast castle, into horse archers, and especially against Japan. You don't get to see any of that. They're going to force you to react in Feudal. And this reaction in Dark Age is already pretty powerful because that hunting cabin is going to be expensive if he wants to keep it alive. And you can see he's ready for that level of expense with a lot of villagers on wood already. You see him stacking in quite a bit now. And KP, would he go for spearmen of his own, or is this just for an extra hunting cabin? Call it a day.
I mean, he could go for spearmen of his own, but as I like to say in this situation, there's what you could and what you should, right? And this makes a lot more sense. That's pretty cool. I was expecting just a little bit of repair and maybe just try to greed his way up. He's going to set up the wooden fortress super early to offer that protection. And you're right about that hunting cabin being so valuable. If this goes down, that delays his pro scout optimal timing, because the benefit of Roost with this type of build is you prime pro scouts while queuing up extra scouts as you go, because you have 2 mills. Lose one, and it really skews the plan here. And the beautiful thing for LucifroN is by going Spearman, he was already set up to stop pro scouts once it happened.
Now, forcing this tower out feels pretty good because, of course, you delayed your opponent's age up, and LucifroN can now follow this up with a pretty decent timing on his Feudal, while MarineLorD is going to be stuck in Feudal for just a little bit more, have a little bit of that delayed age up, and LucifroN can already set the pace of the game and decide what is next. That one villager popping out there to just scare the spearman off. Oh, wait, no, that's a scout. He's just watching closely. Now, this feels pretty scary here, I would say, for MarineLorD, but he's already ready with this in mind, already aging up with a bunch more to ensure that he catches up on this timing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty heavy-handed commitment here, right, with 7 on it. Kuro with just the 3, pretty standard. It's going to add in a few more. I think maybe he scouted the amount that was pushed on there by the Rus. And Lucy doesn't want to fall behind here because, if you are going to try to contest the pro scouts, you need more options than spearmen. You're pretty much just begging Roos to go to an archery range, which is, if we're being totally real, what every Roos player always wants to do.
Now, we have to think about what is going to happen here in the Feudal Age, with the pro scouting obviously being the choice here. Now, the problem for MarineLorD is he doesn't have easy access to the deer here. Both of them behind those little bushes of trees everywhere, little clumps of trees. That's a better word. I finally found the English vocabulary down there. And just outside the wall here, you could potentially get a scout or two to pop out, but the spearmen are standing at the ready. And even the aggressive ones, they're all on the same side. So this doesn't allow for easy deer play. And Rus, honestly, their strength lies in the vast amount of food that they can access. This is not a happy Rus spawn when it comes to the deer. You need to control a full side. And Japan is so good at doing that.
Yeah, there's a lot of tempo with this Civs these days. There was a time where Japan was just one-dimensional, and the fast castle build was crushing a lot of people in the mid-rank. Sure, but at a high level, it was just predictable. It would hit occasionally, but it didn't feel reliable. I'm so happy this Civ actually got a bit more robustness behind it. We're seeing a lot more permutations coming out, such as this, right? Racks into archery range has been a really popular one. Sometimes we see the stables if you're predicting archery. Interesting enough, it is going to be the archers from MarineLorD, but doesn't mean that Yuumi can't win. It's actually surprising how effective Yuumi can be as you scale, because what ends up happening is your opponent wastes a lot of extra arrows over killing you, while you kind of underperform per Yuumi, but that's not a bad thing because of how many extra you have.
Now, with those Yumis, he's definitely going to be quite annoying on those wood lines. There's a tower there on the south side, but it's not really that nice when you start chopping through and your spearmen already have that level of control. They could get a little sneaky shot there when those wood lines do end up being, I would say, emptied quite a bit. The spearmen, though, killing all the deer, so there's no easy pickup for these bad boys. They're already standing around thinking about picking those up, but he knows this is going to be a very manual process. Now, the Yuumi numbers are looking feisty, and especially with that horse joining the battle, this is not going to mean that MarineLorD's in for an easy time. Those archers, they're going to be a decent response to the Yuumi, to the spears, but the problem is still, now there's going to be a handful of horses, and you don't have a way of getting the food to sustain this army. You desperately need to grow to fight this, because you said those Yumis are just going to be more. How are you going to keep up with this?
Yeah, it's like I am Legion type thing. And the other thing is they are plenty. They come across the map much quicker. The other interesting thing is like MarineLorD, an interesting advantage here is that wall. He's just able to kite with the gate. So if he can kind of maintain archer count, which realistically he can here eventually with LucifroN leaning into horsemen. I think LucifroN's realized the error of that is like these horsemen are cool to counter archers, but for this first stack, you can't reach them. They're just always going to get back behind cover.
Now, that scout is probably very happy to bring back a deer to the safety of the TC. He's going to be a little bit of a refuge there as the food will eventually deplete. But the archer numbers, they are looking pretty decent now. Spearman following up with this as well, because MarineLorD needs to be sure that he can respond to these horses if they do eventually find a little bit of a collapse here. Like you said, that wall is just ensuring that this is a much harder time for him here. Now, a spearman already getting picked off, but the archer numbers are starting to get scary, and these horsemen are just going to keep getting poked. And these guys are not playing Ciz, where you get a few cheap healers in Feudal. Those damage, the little bit of damage they do, they are going to matter over time.
Yeah, but what I love here from LucifroN is the technology. He already has Undermesh, Steel Arrow is also on the way. MarineLorD, because he's only got the passive gold from the hunting cabins, and he's not looking to attribute the tickets in there, it's unlikely we're going to see Blacksmith play in a rush here. Once it's around 10 archers, it can feel good, and boom, there you go. He's dropping it now, so he should be able to get Steel Arrow by the time he has, at this rate, 11 to 12 archers, and that's going to give him the pushback he'd need to possibly get on this deer, because this is a pretty depressing timing, right? By now, we're talking about Roos having one deer stack home, second one on the way in most games.
And even sometimes sneaking out a deer from the opponent's side, but that's not even a concern of anyone here. LucifroN not even going on his farms here. He's just tapping out the food sources that are giving it as fast as possible so that he can ensure he gets this right. But look at those scouts. They're just absorbing some of the damage from these archers, because this forces your opponent not to just A-move, but also have to target fire you, which is usually quite hard for a lot of players, because every APM matters. At the top level, though, they've got a lot to play with.
Exactly. At this point, LucifroN doesn't mind having to click that extra way, because he's only doing 45 damage with this Yumi Mass. I think he just went up to 50. That, of course, is going to change once you blob up to, say, 30, 35. That's when the scouts get annoying, because you want to kind of A-click and push. But so far, MarineLorD surviving. Wouldn't necessarily say thriving here. What's the sheep count at? He can't have much left.
Yeah, he's going to start definitely being a little bit hungry here with the villagers. Oh, look at that. The scouts just running in yet again to soak up a little bit of damage. They do heal up, so it does make it a little bit less sad when you do a little bit of damage on top of those. But look at that. The horses try to find a connect. Some of these scouts are taking quite a bit of damage, but the archers still get picked off because LucifroN, his micro is just immaculate. But we knew that. That's what LucifroN is known for as well. And that's why he's so feared on water.
That's what we've come to expect, right? And we'll probably see some on the water later. But the interesting thing here is actually LucifroN just pulled workers over to the stone. So he's now looking for that timing, not just into the tier 1. I think he's trying to lean towards the triple Bannerman build here.
Oof, and that could be quite a heavy hit here, because you do need that little bit of a boost to ensure that these trades go your way. But KP, there is a lot less things being produced and a lot more on gold. So I don't just think this is just a Bannerman play. This is going to be a much spicier one that I don't think MarineLorD is going to have any units to handle with.
Wait, can we check what LucifroN's doing on his stone? Because there's definitely units up there. Did he drop food off? Oh, okay. What, dude? That spawn? Could you see the berries? I could not see them.
No. But that's just because of his color.
Yeah.
We can blame him on that.
This is the thing. I'm telling you guys, everyone thinks that the camo only matters in, like, military shoots. But Age of Empires, blue for water, green for the berries. Hides it all.
Now, it does look like MarineLorD is going to be able to take a pretty okay trade here. A few of the horsemen do go down, and the Yumi archers just perfectly, again, focus firing this. You see the scouts, all of them still being alive, which is pretty impressive here. But LucifroN, he doesn't mind sacrificing a few of these to force MarineLorD to keep on producing, because that's where you want your opponent to be. Keep producing these trash units that a mounted samurai is not going to mind face tanking into.
And now we have the Yumi Bannerman. Now, of course, at this point, MarineLorD does have his technology, so it's not that big of a boon, but at least gets him back to the point where he can do a little bit of damage here. As you're seeing in the trades, LucifroN doing a great job. Still getting that one-hit kill potential and bullying MarineLorD back into the base. This looks grim. MarineLorD is nowhere near going castle. In 30 seconds, he's going to have to contest Mounted Samurai, one of the most feared heavy cav in the game.
And those things, they do not come out like a normal horse. They are feisty and fast and just boosted with those Eurozeros. And now out here on the board, this is a pretty decent pickup for MarineLorD to have. But again, when there are mounted samurais running around, this does not feel as safe. Getting another little hunting cabin here for that extra little bit of gold trickle. The villagers now surrounding that board to ensure they get every bit they can. And once that Once the hunting cabin finishes, they're going to have a safe place to drop that off as well. It's nice and close to the tower, so it's going to be quite snug. But MarineLorD knows I'm in a lot of danger very soon. He's already pulled villagers onto gold as well, and this is something you don't usually see from Rus, actually getting gold.
Yeah, it's kind of a dire consequence. I mean, English just fight knights. When you talk about like this is not how normal horses come out. I just got this image of like it's like chest bursters but in ponies. I think that's the best way to describe mounted samurai. It's like some alien monstrosity coming out from a lineage of horses because these guys are absolute bullies. MarineLorD is trying to get into Spearman to prep himself here. My concern is now with the way you're playing, you have to be full defensive. It's very difficult to come out and now look at next objective, which is Relic, something that MarineLorD can't even pick up yet.
Now, what's pretty interesting to me here, and I think a lot of people on Twitch might also relate a little bit to this, when you see your opponent going castle, a lot of our natural reaction is, oh, I need to get hit to castle too. MarineLorD knows if I hit castle, I'm cooked. I cannot just go to castle and hope to survive, because Rus, they don't age up with something that keeps them alive. They are just going to need more time and more resources to produce something to handle this. So we see him keeping those unit production up, and he's just getting more and more archers, getting a few knights in the mix as well, so that they can do a little bit of tanking and a little bit of counter harassment too. Because usually your best defense is a great offense, and MarineLorD, he's the master of this. He knows how to idle an economy even when he's under pressure.
Yeah, and you know the interesting thing to your point is like once upon a time people would just they'd see a tech up and they'd mirror it, and they realize very quickly it's like. The even more clear example is let's say you're in a mirror and your opponent goes 2TC, and you realize a minute afterwards, if you now go 2TC, you're just behind. It's that same sort of mentality. MarineLorD can't get an age up until he gets a win. Right now, he doesn't have undestroyed value. He doesn't have it clearly in army value. He doesn't have it in quality, as he's about to find out the hard way. LucifroN arrives at the mounted samurai. Yuumi are just here as a dispenser to get rid of the spearman. It's all about the heavy cav to carry him across the finish line here.
And you can see that LucifroN is just perfectly target firing every single spear. So while they do a little bit of damage, every single one of them is cleaned up at the speed of light. And now the snowball starts. You know, when you start getting your villagers and your TC and you realize, hey, I'm going to keep them in my TC to try and fight this, but it's just a ticking time bomb because there's more mounted samurais on the way, and that just gets harder and harder as time goes on. Those archers trying to target fire every single bit of a unit that they may be able to kill, but a lot of this already went down for MarineLorD, and he is still so far from going castle himself.
Yeah, and it's just the leak effect now. There's not enough archers to really scare a mounted samurai, so now just that trickle of samurai coming through can start to idle the different pocket ecos. We've got a rush into the corner to try and set up an outpost. That could easily be 2 more workers going down. Yuumi, at this point, doing enough damage for 2 hit in such small quantities. Knight will eventually clear them up. And, you know, some people go look at this go, did LucifroN just kind of throw his lead? Why didn't he wait for ranged armor too? It's timing, it's momentum. He knows if MarineLorD just gets a thin line of spearmen and knights together, he can hold his base more evenly. So, yes, LucifroN is sacking the size of his army, but he's getting so much out of this. It's essentially keeping MarineLorD in the chokehold.
And what I love about this is MarineLorD, he knows where this game is going. MarineLorD can do the math like any man at this level, and he knows where this is heading, but he's staying in this, and he's just making sure that he gets every moment of LucifroN gameplay here, so he can see what this man is capable of, and he knows what to do. Because I know these two are not very known for practicing against one another, so getting this type of pressure and still holding on, MarineLorD knows, after all, he's still MarineLorD. If there's someone who can make it work, he might have a shot to do that.
Although, it's getting harder though, right? It's getting much harder to believe. And I wouldn't be surprised if LucifroN is just thinking about the Yorishiro dropping the town center next. It's an organic play for Japan that just builds the worker lead without you having to, you know, draw blood from a stone, is what it can begin to feel like when you've got MarineLorD with double Wooden Fortress, or triple in this case in TC. It's a lot of protection.
Now, the question we have to ask ourselves, is this just because of Rus's performance in tournaments lately as well? Are people just figuring out exactly how to deal with them? Because we haven't seen a Rus win in quite a while. This is one of the normal things we see now. Are you seeing it in KPMN?
We're seeing it sometimes, but there's a bigger deal to highlight here. First of all, Warman, this is a first for MarineLorD. A loss in EGC Masters Fall. LucifroN has proven that he can bleed. And I think this is the player of the remaining 4 at the start of this tournament that no one would have expected to be here, let alone leading in the upper bracket finals. But hats off to him, man. Like, that was beautifully executed, a pristine example of how to stop pro scouts. So now we can talk a little bit more about like the Rus situation. Rus is still a decent civ. I just think we've had a lot more versatility starting to have to come out, right? The days of just going horse archer mass feels gone. There are situations for it, but it's not for every game. I think in this game, it's just a pristine example of how a spawn can screw you. And I didn't think I'd ever say that about a MarineLorD spawn. But that double deer forward, so close together, gave LucifroN the perfect anchor point to put in this type of pressure.
Now, what I absolutely love about this, yes, pressure in this game, but MarineLorD, he just lost this one, which means he picks the next map. And we all know what LucifroN is famous for. We know LucifroN is a god on Holy Island. MarineLorD says, bring it on, show me what you got, because I am the GOAT. MarineLorD looking very confident here with the Order of the Dragon pick on Holy Island against LucifroN's English. Now, English is something we haven't seen in quite a bit on these water maps as well. So I'm actually quite excited to see what these boys are going to be pulling out. Now, MarineLorD, already, like I said, it's just amazing that he's willing to play Holy Island against someone who's so known for it. But of course, he's MarineLorD. He's also known for his Holy Island play. But you could say that about every single map, right?
Yeah, and it's funny because when you think back, I think he was one of the most known players for believing in English on water, even at times when other people wouldn't, right? So it's kind of like shoe on the other foot type moment. And I do think English has been slept on a bit. They're definitely not an S tier pick. I wouldn't put them necessarily in the A, but I don't believe they're in the D or C. Most people's tier lists are going to include Abbas's English at the bottom. I think English currently is more midway up the pack. It's just we've stopped thinking about how they function on water or also the 2TC builds, because we were so obsessed with the deer for the last two metas.
And I'm so glad that sometimes we get to focus on something else other than pro scouts. But what English has that most of the civilizations don't in the other game is a ground unit. And that just disrupts your economy so much when you're trying to get military ships out, you're trying to get that second dock. There's a king in your base. And you need to find an answer to this guy, because this mounted horse is just made of steel, and he's going to ensure that your economy is not going to be the optimal wood economy that you would hope for if you're trying to outlast on something like Holy Island.
Let's see if he can weather the storm of aggression that we've come to expect from LucifroN. LucifroN, who is already leading this series, do not be deceived. He's 1-0 up in the upper bracket best of 7 finals. MarineLorD, we've seen a lot of Order of the Dragon. It's been a stalwart pick actually on this map because of its leaned aggression for a few units on land and its eco for water. As you were highlighting, Warman, LucifroN with an English king at the start of the game, it's an interesting element to consider here. Although, you can sometimes struggle to get those early kills. It takes the English king 5 hits to kill a gilded worker.
That is a lot of time investment and gives you a lot of moments to react to this. So it does change that pace a little bit. But when you want to take over on the water, you have to find a way to get your opponent distracted. And both of these guys, they're not really famous for getting distracted under any circumstances. They're the ones who usually force those mistakes out of their opponents. So I'm quite excited to see who does that better this game. But also, how does MarineLorD react to something like a king in the early game? Where does the balance come into, hey, I'm going to get a barracks now instead of making that extra dock or an extra military ship? So I think a lot of these things, we don't get to see those interactions as much, but that's why I'm glad we finally get to see English on this map, so we can get a few of those answers answered right here. Ooh, that's a lot of sheep. That's a happy Frenchman right there.
You never know when you're going to be pushed off water, right? And it's interesting to bring up the English factor with this combo. Is like, if you remember, we used to see English versus Order of the Dragon a lot when Archipelago was a big part of the meta a year ago, because Sushi Chinese should be banned out at that point back in that meta, which meant these two got through. And the interesting dynamic, the theory crafting anyway, is that an English king is free. Spearman is not for Order of the Dragon. It's 160 resources. You might need 2. So 320 resources. Then you have to build the racks. That's going to add another 150. Part of the problem with that math, though, is the English player would then have to idle a dock to build a transport ship for 90 wood, and then he'd miss out on another fishing boat. So it was a bit more skewed. But what's cooler about this map is you still force this type of investment out of Order of the Dragon. But for English, there's no dock usage required. You can just straight up send that king across the map.
And the power of forcing aggression out of your opponent, it speaks volumes on water. Now, what I absolutely love about these two civilizations... wait, hold up. Thought interrupted. MarineLorD's doubling down on this dock play. He says, you may bring it on, but brother, I like them water. And you can already see, still 8 on wood. He is ready to double produce fishing boats from 2 docks. Oh my goodness. But now from LucifroN's side, does he also invest in something like that? But you can already see he's only got 5 on wood. So he's just producing from that one singular dock and calling it a day. This is his value. He believes this is all he needs for this.
Yeah, the trade-off here, though, is, one of the big challenges for English is how do I afford Admiralty? And when your opponent's spending a lot longer in the Dark Age, and he's going to probably have to wall himself in, maybe outpost up defend himself, it does give you a little bit more leeway to consider Admiralty, like 3 or 4 boats in. We'll see if LucifroN goes that way, because I think every time I see English on water, that's the big question mark. Like, where is your advantage coming from to afford Admiralty, which, if I remember correctly, is a 500 resource tech? It's not cheap.
And KB, the amount of investment aging up with 7 villagers is already telling you that LucifroN wants this land presence and he wants it now. Now, of course, this makes a lot of sense. When you're playing on a map like this, you need to get that aggression out, but at the same time, those food villages that would be left on food are not really going to give you anything. And them now running all the way to wood, just a little bit of idle time. So he sees the value in actually staying and aging up as fast as possible. Now, a few more villages moved over to wood there as he's preparing for that fuel age up. Now, because this map is a little bit larger than your usual little water maps, it does give you a little time to react. So MarineLorD is not going to be that far behind, and he's the kind of guy who will pull a few extra villages to ensure he ages up quickly. We already see 6 with the Arcane Chapel now, and that chapel is including the gold as well.
And on top of that, remember, these are Order of the Dragon villages, so they inherently build quicker, so the gap isn't that big, and that's a bit worrisome. LucifroN, he pushed this upgrade very hard into H2. The point being is you would get your archership out quick enough to do some serious damage on the other side through either idle or kills, and MarineLorD, you can see the confidence, because if you look at his fishing side, I'm pretty sure he's already up to 8 fishing boats at this stage, right? Like, sorry, 10, yeah, see at the top, right? Like, he didn't stop. Sometimes people make this play so they have essentially an outpost for their fishing.
But this man did not even blink for a second. He knew that little bit of extra investment is going to be worth it. Order of the Dragon, what I love about them is that they always have a little bit less villages. So when you look at the game and you see that villager count equalize, you know that there's something wrong. And Order of the Dragon now, yes, they're fishing boats, but MarineLorD is able to afford a military ship the moment he hits the age up. The king now, he's going to be looking for some damage, and he's heading straight over there. MarineLorD, though, he's keeping an eye on it because he knows that this is the one thing that can make his life a lot harder.
Large ships in. Out of time to be achieved. Should be able to find some kills as well, considering that the galley is the queue up first. MarineLorD did not prioritize the spring ship, so can hang around a little bit longer to be a nuisance. The only challenge here is obviously these fishing boats can heal each other up, but the upside is you've now, even though your opponent's got a fishing lead, forced him onto the undesirable, right? The shoreline fish. The question is, what's LucifroN's momentum off the back of this? Is he looking to just keep pushing naval lead? Or is there a gap here to now consider something like a stables and 1 or 2 horsemen to support raids from your king?
And now understanding whether it's going to be worth investing onto the land versus the sea here, I guess that is the big question mark for most of us. Now LucifroN getting 2 more springald ships in queue. This man is looking for that water aggression and the water aggression only. No extra wood being flooded around here. He wants to make sure he produces it all. Now, there was actually a game between B and Beastie that I recall on this map where B lost the water, but he still won that game as far as I know. And this is the beauty of a map like this. When you have enough control on land, anything can be possible, but it does give you such a lead. So even if MarineLorD realizes, hey, this might be a little bit tough to hold, he's going to be okay. Now with a horseman, though, this means he's got an answer to the land. And what I love about this, it's a pretty good answer to that king.
Oh, and when you look at that, we might want to switch that to the other side. Admiralty's been queued up. That not for MarineLorD. The English have got that coming in. Now, this is a big deal. It means in a Springald on Springald, you can just keep trading out and your opponent can't reach you. It's so frustrating to deal with. It's one of the like subtler reasons why people will mold about English and water.
Now that king is trying to find a little bit of damage, but the walling has been sublime, and he cannot find a hole to just climb into. MarineLorD now getting 2 more ships as well here, desperately trying to get those numbers up, but with all this extra food eco, he's doing pretty well in the horseman production, and we know how nice that can feel when you have those chunky horses that now will require a response from English on the field. So now fishing boats do get pushed back a little bit. Springalds are trying to get every bit of shot they can, and that's a pretty decent one both ways. But MarineLorD's on the defense here, so he does have those fishing boats to keep those ships alive for a bit longer.
And I mean, you know, LucifroN might have Admiralty, but don't worry, folks. Order the Dragon have their own unique tech in their dock. I can't finish that sentence. I can't. Do you remember what it's called?
Which one?
The unique tech that the HRE and Order the Dragon have in their docks.
No. KP, as someone...
Fire stations?
Fire stations.
Hey, wow. Look how bad that is, though. Like, I can't, like, regenerate 1 health when not fighting. Ooh, as English, I get that for king.
Definitely not something that I can imagine investing 250 gold on, especially when you've got your docks right there to keep these things alive. The king, though, he is not looking too good. I see a dead king right there on the ground.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to be getting a king's barrel either. I think they're just letting the flies deal with it. Triple gilded horseman now is really concerning. LucifroN only having 3 spearmen doesn't make him well guarded. And in fact, if you check his base, has he walled in his tree line? I don't think he has. He's just built crap tons of houses here, which might come back to bite him.
Now, LucifroN realizing, hey, I might need a little bit more gold here, and switch the play. Now, the question is this a demo ship play? Because we've seen this out of people when they pull out that many onto gold, or are we thinking about something else? But those ships are quite damaged. A good little demo ship connection, and we've seen LucifroN with a lot of those, trying to make those connections, and he's already sneaking out with the 2. He sees MarineLorD's a greedy goose with only Springald ships and 1 little galley. Those guys are going to find a way to sneak right through.
Gilded Horseman, though, this is crafty. MarineLorD, he's trying to deny the docks before the demo pull comes. He's got nowhere to run is the challenge here. And the other thing is the extra range on those boats allowing to snipe out the anti-demo ships, but the detonation not going to connect. MarineLorD skirts it, dodges it, and pushes back. LucifroN will need more demos than that if he wants to get rid of the Lord of the Marine.
The Lord of the Marine, he has those horses out, and I'm really excited to see where they would be landing, but it does look like he's kept them a little bit on the safer side, now burning down a dock, just ensuring that they don't get into the range of those spearmen on the field. But we do see LucifroN still snacking with his eyes. He's just looking at exactly where he wants to connect with that demo ship. Horses now fighting that poor little spearman, and he's not going to be enough against these Order of the Dragon ones. But at the same time, this fishing destruction.
Wait, the fish. He can't get close enough. That's the second time he's been an inch short of what he would need to get the damage done. The irony, considering LucifroN is the taller guy, but maybe just there's 1 more pump left here. I'm worried that this is kind of trending against him, but the upside, at least for LucifroN, is MarineLorD has been stuck on the shoreline fish for a long time, and they're actually running out now.
Now, LucifroN, his ships are quite damaged, and every single time MarineLorD pulls back, he is able to heal those up just a little bit more. And with that economy now from MarineLorD, you know, this is not stopping. Him now getting his archers in here too just means that that land presence from Order of the Dragon is going to start getting scarier and scarier. LucifroN has not been keeping up the demo ship production and now floating quite a bit of resources here. And with the fact that he just doesn't have the food to keep producing ships, it does beg the question, what is he thinking? Is he trying to conserve a little bit, or is he just a starved man who needs more food to produce ships? It does look like MarineLorD's feeling a little bit more confident on moving out now.
Yeah, he has the ship lead. This is the problem. So LucifroN is going to try to anchor it back while he builds up more demos. MarineLorD a little bit gluttonous with only 1 galley, needs to be a bit careful. The problem here is the extra range on LucifroN ships. If he mans the sail to dive in, he'll get that snipe. So MarineLorD really wants to try and get eyeballs on this next play. Because 8 demos against 1 galley, I'm siding with the Spaniard on that.
The problem for LucifroN, I think, was the fact that he was stuck on that one dock. With the horseman burning down the second one, he was just not able to constantly produce those. But that is a huge amount of ships, KP. Even with the little bit of bonus they've got, they are going to struggle taking this fight now. 4 spearmen on the field for him as well, just enough to keep those horsemen at bay, trying to get a raid on the gold. Now, villagers do need to pull back, but one will go down, and that feels pretty good here for MarineLorD. Getting us around, they will get another one. And getting the villagers on the land, that always feels good.
Oh, this is a huge ripple effect. I mean, LucifroN, he doesn't have wheelbarrow either, so the formation shuffle made it look like he's moving fast, but look at how slow you get now. The choke point gets blocked, more going down. LucifroN, this is pretty much entire economy idle, and this dive has distracted him. The water side, MarineLorD has experienced no real pressure. LucifroN, if this play doesn't win him water, it's downhill from here. If anything could do it, though, it has to be 12 demos. This is a tactical nuke waiting to detonate. He enters the field. The detonations, they're starting to skip in. The spread looks good. MarineLorD trying to minimize the damage, but the fishing boat's also trapped there, blocking him out. Real ship down to about, what, 5, maybe 6 at this rate? No, he holds firm 7 to 8, limping through. LucifroN has blown the entire load on this, and still comes out looking a bit more bruised.
The problem is with those demos, as MarineLorD just split his ships apart, he ensured that the damage was just not enough to take down that fishing economy he also had. Yes, he may have lost one, but this is not something that he is going to be too upset about. Still making ships. You can now see him being a little bit humbled by the amount of demos and getting an extra galley or two to ensure that this does not happen again. But the king is back out on the map. The problem is just, I feel like MarineLorD already has the answer to this, getting more horsemen on the field. But now MarineLorD felt that momentum and he's confident pushing out. The problem is he's pushing LucifroN into a corner now, and the ship, they are less bruised than LucifroN. So LucifroN is just losing those one by one, getting picked off, trying to do as much as he can. But the demos are nowhere near to support this, and they need to arrive soon. One of them now breaking through, but he respects the Springold ship fire.
The challenge here, America, is that he's been on the offensive the whole time, so he's never been pulling back those boats to heal because he always is using them to attack. This is the defender advantage on water. MarineLorD played that fantastically. Just think about what happened there. 12 demos go in. I think 3, maximum 4 boats went down. And you had him pinned against the shoreline. In fact, I think looking back at that, LucifroN might be facepalming. There was a moment where there was, I think, 10 fishing boats just sitting there. If he at least got the connect with a double demo there, you can say worthwhile. Instead, MarineLorD still has the full 10 fishing, and he's starting to feel confident. He's back on the deep water.
Now, LucifroN is doubling down on the demos. He saw it didn't work out. He learned from what we would say a few misclicks maybe, or not ensuring their positioning on where the damage would land, but he wants this to work, and he knows what to do better. That's the beauty of seeing LucifroN in water. He evolves every single time I see him on this. The thing is now, it's looking like it's about to happen, KP. He wants to get that connection. MarineLorD, it doesn't seem like he's reacting. This is going to be huge distraction.
Wait. The spread though, look at the spread. Okay, detonation north side. He just needs that finishing touch is the problem here. MarineLorD, how? Again, he lost 3, I think that was, from 10 demos. And now he just pushes him away.
He is just constantly able to keep the ship production going, and you can see MarineLorD doesn't even look like he's blinking. For a while, it looked like he was just letting those go through because he knows what the power is of having this defensive position. You just take a little bit of damage, pull back, and wait for them to regen. Now, the fishing boats do need to pull back as LucifroN does snipe one of those, but those are just fishing boats. He will be fine in the long run.
So what you kind of want to do here is LucifroN, as you burn out this demo wave, is you want to kind of zigzag as you retreat, so you get shots out the extra range. But you can see MarineLorD is just headbutting into him. He's trying to force them out of before the demo wave gets ready again. Good snipe there to deny any counter demo play. And hold on a second, MarineLorD this time. Is he out of position? The demo connection looks good. He gets a connect on 2. Body blocks out from the fishing boats, but it's not going to be good enough. He goes through. This is looking like the best hit we've seen so far. LucifroN able to cripple the fleet. 4 Springolds left alive, but it cost him plenty too. They are being exhausted on water, And both of them look like they're starting to maybe consider castle a bit.
Thing is, even with all those connections, he still didn't get any of those fishing boats down. So the food economy
True.
is feeling a little bit better for MarineLorD here because
Oh,
you can see
God.
as resources are running out, MarineLorD is on the aggressive and still no wheelbarrow. These villagers are just paying the price for a very safe play when it comes to securing your gold to get more demos out. It just doesn't feel like it was worth it. Oh, another one going down. These villagers just non-stop paying the price. He does not know how to keep these alive. KP, when I get to this point of the game, I just want to go next.
I mean, seriously, watching this, he doesn't need wheelbarrow, he needs a hearse. The amount of dead bodies in there. LucifroN. You know, before he could afford to get that new wave of demos out, but you see the impact. When you fail 3 times like this, you're no longer on your starting gold, you're on the secondary. It put him more exposed, his economy more spread, and the limited spearmen underwhelming against what MarineLorD had here. So, MLord, you know, some people can look at this like, I don't get it, MarineLorD just defending the whole time. You of course you would. Your economy is, at least in theory, better than the English one here. And your opponent has chosen an aggressive build, so he's put the onus on himself to kill you. And MarineLorD has shown you why he is a master of defense.
He knows how to defend for as long as he needs to actually get that advantage. And he does it beautifully. But you guys need to keep in mind, both of these players, they are playing like the best of the best. That's why they are here in the upper bracket finals. These two are honestly the 2 best players that we've seen on water. And MarineLorD now, he just shows that dominance. We saw the win rate. We see what he can do. And now he's even getting more archers at the back of this to make sure that he secures that land pressure that he's already shown himself to have. Now, there's a lot of resources in LucifroN's bank, and KP, he might be considering going castle, but as those ships approach, he decides 2 more demos is what I need to survive this. But it still doesn't look like...
He came in from the north. MarineLorD, his galleys are out of position here, so decent connect coming through from both sides. MLord just sacking some of the boats to just try and buy time for the retreat. Again, though, like I see these type of connects, and we've seen it from a lesser player. That's game. MarineLorD every time just makes it look trivial with practically no archer ships to counter mass demo.
Now, LucifroN knows how much he has lost, but he needs to find a way to get a little bit of damage in. The problem is just the damage that he needs to do is so much more than he will have the chance to. You see those villagers, they are confident in this. Yeah, come on, take me on.
Like, bro, you're not the first king we've killed. Oh, you want to run into the tree line? Yeah, that's great. Fertilizer for the trees.
More horses. Oh, this is a destruction of absolutely everything that LucifroN throws MarineLorD's way. Confidently just killing all of those horses with the villagers. You know, this man means business, and LucifroN says, I realize the business is meant, I need to go a different direction. Now, going for castle here is a pretty interesting play, because one thing that I've been told by some pro players is that the person who goes castle first is usually the one that loses, because they do it mostly out of desperation. MarineLorD knows, I don't need to go anywhere into castle. I'm a pretty happy camper, but the horseman is in position. He sees what's going on, and he's going to get more victims.
Yeah, that should be 1, maybe 2 workers club down. He's sending horsemen over. The spearmen actually aren't in position, so even more losses in a game where you're not going to TC. And to your point, you're right. Like, on water core, like, you know, archipelago, we saw the meta develop to just keep playing Feudal until you win. It's a bit different on Holy Island, where, like, with LucifroN, the idea here is I will eventually lose water, but I'll make it about land. But instead, there's not much land left. Look at this. Another worker pool. The second wave of horsemen came in. It's an absolute bloodbath. That's not a white tower. That's a red tower.
There's all the blood, because there is just bodies spread all around. Those poor villagers, they paid the price, and 27 down total. This is a ticking time bomb. MarineLorD knows this. He knows the power he has on water. He knows the amount of villagers that have gone down. And with this, he's like, hey, you win castle. Let me show you. I can do that too. And it doesn't even matter what he ages up with. If he goes for a burger, there's just nothing LucifroN can do to actually try and kill anything. Now getting 7 knights, he is making a very desperate call to get any form of damage out here. These fishing boats pull back all the way to the shoreline fish and dropping off the food as fast as he can, because he knows these guys are all sitting ducks.
It's all going to dust for LucifroN. A fantastic game number 1, but MarineLorD was never going to let that slide. He's now going to sit back and say, okay, let's let this snowball out of control. He puts things back in order. He's going to be able to reset it to a best of 5 at this raid, because the thing you have to look at is unless LucifroN can find an insane raid, we're talking 15, 20 workers, you're just going to get out-ecoed here. But we'll see. The Knights, they're heading into the base, but they've got the work cut out for them.
There's a bunch of archers here ready to defend, and a horseman or two about to join this fight as well. And they will definitely win this trade. The problem is now they don't need military kills. They need villager kills. And the villagers, they've got the ships out.
Have them all.
You guys try to take us down. We're ready for this, brother. We were trained for this. Those villagers do not even flinch in the face of danger. The archers absolutely doing work against these as well. Wheelbarrow now coming in for MarineLorD. He realizes those villagers might need to run a little faster to catch up to the horses, but the night raid, it feels decent. It's just a little bit too late with the amount of damage that he's taken.
Yeah, I think these villagers have been shopping at one of those dodgy supermarkets where they may be eating horse instead of beef, because they almost seem carnivorous towards this raid crew. LucifroN not really finding the connecting needs. Remember, this is Burgraves, so spearman numbers are going to start to inflate quite quickly, and the first one's already coming out. They pack quite the punch. I think it's 54, 64 damage on a Feudal spearman, which is insane to think about. You're able to 4-hit kill a Feudal knight, 5-hit on a castle one. So Lucy, he's going to be scared away. He has got map control. Maybe he looks for relics here, because right now, he's got no upside economically. Like, this feels like an all-in.
It is, especially with the +2 range defense now from LucifroN. You can see he's planning on taking this fight again and again and again. And he's very aware of all these units that are going to be firing at him. And we see a pretty heavy investment here into the range. So he knows that this is his last hurrah. He needs to find what he can. We do see a total of 10 workers going down there for MarineLorD. Some of them being fishing boats, but at least it did some damage. The problem is just, it's not enough. He knows it.
Yep, MarineLorD game number 2 reminds you why he is Lord of this Marine, and does it against one of the most prolifically successful players on Holy Island.
Now, LucifroN, we can see that English play working on this map against any lesser player, but MarineLorD, he knew exactly what the level of aggression is that he needed to keep up, instead of just letting his opponent take control of any form of land. But those villagers, KP, I'm so impressed with how well the villagers stacked up against the king. The 5 hits you mentioned, they really showed, because the villagers got a few extra hits in on that bad boy.
Yeah, it's actually infuriating. Like, if you have a scout, you can actually make it 4 hits, but because otherwise they're sitting at 1 HP after the 4th hit. But easier said than done on those type of dives, especially if your opponent's micro and injured. Like, it's the consistency of trickle damage that's hard to come by. And, you know, consistency was key here. MarineLorD, always the stalwart defender, never really gave over too much with these demo dives. LucifroN, you know, it's like fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times. We've seen him. Usually it only takes 2 attempts to kill the best players in the world with this double down of 10 plus. But MarineLorD, what impressed me the most is he thought about using galleys and he went, those kind of suck, right? Because, like, you think galleys is an answer to demos. The problem is, you know where I'm going with this, Wildman. The counter to demo galley play is just go sideways, right?
Exactly.
Galleys are terrible at tracking targets, so MarineLorD didn't want to trust them.
And with enough spring ult shots, you usually get to trade against a smaller number. But with that huge amount, he was just able to spread them out evenly to ensure that one little demo is not going to be able to kill what they need to get. So, beautiful play here by MarineLorD. He knew the limits of his fleet, and he knew exactly where the weaknesses lie, and he was ready to fight with that. Now, LucifroN here, I would say he doubles down on the water, and he's like, all right, let me just show you what I can actually do. And with him playing Aeobids, he's probably pretty happy with that pick, but at the same time, you're picking Aeobids against Zhu Shi, and Zhu Shi, there's a reason it's banned every single time.
Yeah, Aeobids is an interesting pick for a map like Archipelago. They do have some intriguing tempo to them. It's why they were designed on maps like Holy Island. If you remember the Canadian, they brought that in last year with the King of the Rockies, where they discovered that industry wing strategy where you just jump them. You can't do that here. You're stuck on the wrong island to do that here. There is some interesting optimizations I've seen around rushing your Golden Age by chaining your House of Wisdom near the dock to get that bit of efficiency. But you're right, Shushi's a beast for reasons, right? You'll get a little bit of efficiency, 10%, but they're going to get 20% more in drop-off. They're going to be able to pump out boats quicker. This is a scary civ, always has been. In fact, when Archipelago, the old version, was used regularly in tournaments, this was the pick. It was even better than China, English, HRE, all of them. This was the one that felt like it won early game, mid game, and I don't even want to start talking about this battle once late.
Now, my question to you, because I think this is a map that you may have more experience with, is it just because of that eco wing they get to go into Feudal and just get that little bit of a boost? Or what is the usual play here? Just getting wood, extra docking? What do we usually see out of AOBids?
So because you're a timing civ, I'd say on average on this archipelago, advancement's probably going to be your best friend to try and get the boat out sooner. But he might change his mind because of the civ he's up against. We all know that Shushi are the quickest attack on this map, right? They build quicker, they get it cheaper. It's hard to beat them to the punchline. So it might be better just to have the extra free villages. It could also be that it's worth considering something like the industry, just so you can get your first boat out quicker once your economy set up there. But, you know, if LucifroN plays this like Vortex, I'm pretty sure I've seen Vortex on this map this before, where they try to set up the House of Wisdom between the first two docks and then chain it eventually back into their base. They get that Golden Age timing. So it's a small nitpicky detail at first until you remember that it's a 10% gathering rate buff. That's pretty damn.
And it kind of makes up for the fact that you have supervision and all your villages on the opponent's side. So I can see how it evens out. But yeah, that's the beauty of AOBids. And I think a lot of people might say, but yeah, usually when you play a civilization, you go for this landmark or you go for that wing. But AOBids, they've got a lot of answers. And even into the late game, these can get a little bit spicier when you do get a sneaky advancement up if you save that bad boy for castle and try to make some real plays happen. Now, see, this is just what I love about AoE, and especially at this level, because MarineLorD is not someone you see play in smaller tournaments. He knows he needs to show his gameplay in these S-tier events to ensure that we don't always see what the GOAT is cooking. Now, Lucifer, on the other hand, I think we get to see him play a little bit more. So his playstyle a little bit more standard, but at the same time, MarineLorD knows how to respond to anything that might come his way. Now, what we have been seeing on Archipelago is very, very short games, KP. The shortest of all the water in the world. People have snowballed way too quickly. I think we've seen a few 7-minute games here where it's just over so quickly. And especially with those stealth forests or stealth kelps on the water.
Yeah, we haven't decided on a name for those still. Like Stealth Sea? Stealth Kelp? Stealth Fog? Like, no, that... I don't know, man. Like, someone just needs... No, we're not calling them kelp, okay? Like, because the problem with kelp is if kelp comes back into competitive, it's going to get confusing. Kelp in the kelp, right? Stealth water? Is that acceptable? I don't know.
Stealth water. Well, we'll get some mist to hide those ships as we're about to roll into Archipelago, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for Zushi to finally see the light of day on a map and not being first banned. Lovely.
I don't know if it's lovely. Just, I mean, sure they get through one, but it's because certain other things are more broken or more like Knights Templar. Won't be seen this time around, but what we might see is MarineLorD once again proving why his name matches up to these type of maps. Archipelago, a strong and potent place for the Shushi. LucifroN with this Ibid pick, I really am curious to see what kind of opening we're targeting. What is the difference? Because Ibid, similar on land, with water, they are a tempo civ. They need to be in control of the game around these tech timings. Otherwise, if we're being totally frank, you might as well have picked Abbasids.
And the thing is, I usually want to ask myself, who sets the pace of the game? Because with usual civilizations, you usually get a guy who's in the driving seat, and there's a guy who responds. And I feel like with Zushi, they're usually the ones in the driving seat on water, but LucifroN now with this AOBid pick, he gets to be the one driving. And we've seen the Spaniards in F1 and MotoGP. These guys are the best of the best. The French... I don't see them all the way up there. So finally, MarineLorD giving the driver advantage over to Mr. Lucy here.
Whoa! Well, they're busy like riding bikes and sipping wine and taking like midday breaks. I mean, yeah, in fairness to MarineLorD, it is very impressive just how good he is on water for a country that just like gave up on the sea historically.
Yes, yeah. But that's
So,
what
like,
they're famous for. He needs to rectify history.
yeah, he's done a good job of it here. I mean, being a LucifroN on Holy Island, definitely a good start. And, you know, you mentioned it earlier about MarineLorD. It doesn't really show the strategies up to. I believe there was a certain Belarusian that gave us some insights as to why he thinks that is. Something about not many strategies. He doesn't have many different things to throw out there. So we'll have to see if MarineLorD can get crafty and different, or if it's just going to be all the same. Because the weird thing about calling something a meta, Barman, is when you win everything, it may seem like you're just playing the boring meta because you are the meta.
So everyone's following what you're doing.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So you seem like a normie who has no ideas of your own. Like, no. This is a meta. I got the little spice in there, a little bit of salt. We added in the paprika, and it is perfect. But it just seems like he's made the most basic, like, you know, sorbet infused, I don't even know, I'm going to paprika potato stew you've ever seen. Yet he's got the spice levels, the perfect point. That's what makes him so good.
Now, JP, we do see the double dock here for Eobus. And now for you guys who will be like, oh, well, he's actually got a double dock. Remember, these guys are 50% off. So for Eobus, they are a little bit cheaper, easier to get that second dock out here for Mr. LucifroN. But MarineLorD, at the same time, he's going to be able to get aged up, I would say, a little bit quicker if we don't see an advancement here for LucifroN, because we're already seeing him getting quite close to that. And it does take quite a while for Mr. LucifroN to age up himself. Now, the map is big enough where your ship does take about a millennia to hit, as he does need to go and scout out to see exactly where he needs to strike with that first ship. But we do see a landmark being placed down now, meditation garden. Let's go take a look at the juicy... I mean...
No. So here's the thing. You want to be, like, in the inside, you're feeling anxious right now, but it's a meditation garden, Warman. You just need to...
calm, peace, prosperity.
Because sometimes you just accept this happened, right? Like then, you know, MarineLorD will understand. This is how it balances out. On land, we talk about MarineLorD spawns. Here, it's not a good one. Admittedly, it's never a good one on Archipelago. I don't think I've ever seen, like, a jackpot one. But the interesting thing for Lucifer is I wonder if he prefers this House of Wisdom placement like this. He had a choice. I don't know if he scouted straight away, but I've seen this played by Vortex when the tree line was where the docks went, which kind of sounds a bit nicer for chaining in the House of Wisdom, because like you're going to lean lumber camps deeper, so you in theory could build the house further away from the town center.
Now, with that placement, the Golden Age is going to take a while, so it's not something that he gets quickly, and that's the problem with this map, right? Because we talked about this is something that has very short games. And the question is LucifroN going to be able to live until the Golden Age comes in and or actually matters here? MarineLorD, he does get his first ship out, and LucifroN still aging up now. And really glad to see him clicking up with that advancement wing. With him double producing here from 2 docks for a while, it did take a little bit more investment, but you see, he's ready for that age up. He's got the wood in the bank. He wants to make every ship he can double producing because he needs to find an answer to this. MarineLorD now getting his second ship out soon as well, and that second dock now placed down. So this is going to start getting scarier and scarier as 15 is now on wood for MarineLorD, and we know they've got that little bit of a bonus.
Yeah, I mean, I like the way you kind of summarize it, the Golden Age, and, you know, whoa, it's great if you can get there. It made me chuckle a bit because, you know, it does sometimes feel like with these openings with Ibis and Abacids, it's like having invested in Blockbuster in the early 2000s and seeing it plummet. Like, it'll come back. Like, but when it does, I'm going to be powerful. Like, it's great once the 10% is online. It can be scary beforehand, but props to LucifroN. He already has it activated. He's buffered away the aggression. Fishing boat count is an advantage for him as well. MarineLorD is choosing to be the attacker, at least initially here, which is quite intriguing considering how willing he was in the first game to sit back and defend.
Now, with that boat instantly making its way home, I want you to notice that there's not another one in queue just yet. And this begs the question, what is... Oh, never mind. MarineLorD's now like, I just need a little bit more wood, actually. No,
Yeah, we're pumping.
Yeah, definitely not something that gets cut off too soon. Both of these guys getting double broadaxe, knowing the importance of just boosting every bit of villager that you can. And the Golden Age, we do see 0 out of 10 right now, but we'll get a little visual on that guy soon, as we need to understand exactly when LucifroN's bonus is going to hit. He's just constantly
Oh,
making more springholds, though.
I
And
like
maybe,
this.
yeah?
So Teak Mask is such an
Mm-hmm.
underrated ability. Think military wing from a bastards on water. Right? Like, that kind of sounds crazy. That's pretty dope, right? It means that these demo ships that you're expecting don't put you one hit from death. So really nice idea by LucifroN. I feel like some people just forget this ability when they see a bastards and Iabids.
Now, these guys are going to be able to get a good shot off, but we've seen MarineLorD pull back and wait for the right moment to strike, and we've seen him on the defense. He doesn't mind pulling the ships back and just fighting it on his turf. LucifroN, though, he had a little bit of experience with those demos, and he wants to redeem their name, as they did not find the ability to land too well just yet. Now, these guys are focused on a fishing ship, and he takes it down. Interesting choice here, but he knows that is what's actually going to be killing and doing damage. He's not just going to be doing damage and healing back up.
Yeah, another thing to keep in mind is those demo ships also get a little bit extra health for the Teak Masts. So,
Hmm.
it's not crazy. I think it shouldn't change the metrics. If I remember correctly, they still get killed the same amount of shots. It should be 40. Actually, it might be one more. They're left with like a sliver of health. So it does actually help in the early phase like this.
Now, he's not using the stealth kelp to hide that ship, but it does look like
Hold
the,
on. Uh,
yeah, the ship is stuck. Oh,
Look at that
maybe.
magnificent ship. Guys, if you get a piece of paper out right now, you have
Hmm.
enough time that
Sketch
you
it.
could start sketching it,
Okay.
and then you can go buy little pieces of wood and you can start to craft it. And also, like, this is important because now we really can decide if this is stealth kelp or something else. Because it it looks a bit too deep to be kelp. Like, I played a lot of Subnautica. That's going all the way down. There's some weird alien species waiting for me down
Now, with this ship, I'm grabbing my iPad right now to get the picture just right. But it does look like it's having a little bit of a scenic time here as
there.
it's just watching. Beautiful. Looking. Oh, we've got a
Wow. Oh
jump.
my God. We are Star Trek now. Was that a supersonic jump from the ship and it multiplied? The powers. This is what I mean about Shushi Waman. They are broken
Hmm.
Civ. No other Civ could teleport and just immediately duplicate like this. Outrageous.
Now, with the numbers that we're seeing here, KP,
What happened?
outrageous might just be the word here. It does look like the client. So, guys, for those of you wondering, I think we don't have sound at the moment, but it is what it is. We're on the water. So these guys
Huh.
now, I think this is a secondary observer that we're looking at right now to just ensure that we get the gameplay just right.
Yes.
But with the amount of spring-old ships here, this does feel scary, but there was a sneaky connect there at the back, not finding the damage he needs, but 2 fishing ships down total already. Now, this is not the thing that we're usually scared of, but it does make sure that MarineLorD isn't just fishing for free. He actually has to do some actions. Now, with the amount of ships that we see out here, this does still feel like MarineLorD's pretty comfortably going to be sitting back here.
Yeah, and for good reason. Like, Shushi just scales really nicely here, and if there's ever an attack opportunity, he can just get there much quicker. Yeah, apologies, folk. We should be able to get our production back online with the audio quality. But if you think about it, actually, it's just a really thoughtful thing from the production. There's about to
Hmm.
be a lot of explosions, and I'm pretty sure most of you haven't got your protective ear pieces in. So we're just
Hmm.
being mindful of the more ear sensitive people amongst our community.
Now, the ear-sensitive people would have been in shambles right now, as those demo ships are going to be looking for a connection. We do see some from the stealth kelp at the bottom. They could be making some sneaky plays from the top as well. 8 total now. And finally, some of these ships are taking a very slow motion fight, but it does look like they teleported a
Oh
little
my
bit
god, they're
forward.
teleporting! The demos in slow mo to appreciate it. That is a heavy hit. Is it going to be enough, though? I feel like we've been here before. If you look, Sprint count is now even between the two. It's a great start, but LucifroN needs to keep that momentum going. And the health bars, I mean, they look half HP, but remember the 10% extra makes them a lot more chunky. The question mark is whether you can afford to now dive into this choke point where you're going to be facing off against the risk of backstab demo ships.
Now, what's interesting to me here is LucifroN feels confident. Like you said, with the extra HP, it does. They are a little bit different as they do take an extra shot to take down, but he still looks quite confident to move out here, even though he has invested quite a bit more into those demos compared to what MarineLorD has sacrificed into the Springals. But KP, MarineLorD is getting to that point that Zushi gets to, where they're not really just thinking about, oh, I need to produce ships. They just have so many extra resources that they can't spend it all. And I don't know if you're smelling that, KP, but it smells like a castle pretty soon. And then these fights are going to be a lot harder if LucifroN allows that all the way through.
I mean, it's a powerful wasp because it's Sushi Castle on the way, and LucifroN, he could try to mirror it, but he already used advancement. He'd be so slow. So nothing but an emphatic victory in water before tech up really makes sense here. You can see he's now up to 11 demo ships. Difference in game from last time. If you remember last time, MarineLorD didn't like overvalue the archer ships to defend, but he understands he needs that extra firepower because if you do look at the demos, you'll see just the extra sliver of health is really annoying for these archer ships. The amount of times I've seen them against bastards or ibids get a demo down to just one hit, like 10% HP, and they just can't get the kill, and it makes the difference. But let's see if it does here. Demos, they're going to start it off, and MarineLorD just headbutts them away so easily.
Now, that is actually quite an interesting play here from MarineLorD because now he's like, okay, I see what you're doing. I'm going to counter that because I know that my micro might just be able to outdo yours. The demos go down without getting any connections, but now MarineLorD, he's sneaking right in, and it's a mystery. We will now have to wait. Twitch chat.
Predictions.
Right now in the chat, 1 for MarineLorD hit, 2 for LucifroN snipe. Is this demo going to be hitting its target, or are we just absolutely witnessing history right now?
MarineLorD, don't be that guy that likes in worms, like, well, I'm going to win by using my worm to take out your worm. No, go straight for the core of it. Deep dive that back line because they're close enough for it. It's a full HP demo ship, and LucifroN, the archer ships, if they shoot now and he just keeps drifting east. Actually, no, I think there's going to be one volley hitting, right? So half HP demo. But then they're on a reload, I believe. He can connect with this if LucifroN does an insta-turn around.
Oh, I like where it froze as well, because this is literally the moment that could determine the game. So I would like you guys to take a moment, close your eyes. You're playing water. The ship is a little bit stuck.
Sorry, I had to...
Now, honestly, guys, for the fact that we now have a moment, I would like just to take a second, guys. Imagine now, yes, there are 2 ships about to collide, but look at this draft we have here. Both of these players still going for that KT insta-ban. Last week, we had a few people say, oh, I could probably handle a little KT. And the answer was they could not, unless they were very sneaky. But the priority pick from each person here, China and House of Lancaster, definitely telling us what people are still feeling is powerful enough. Because with a Mali and Byzantines follow-up, I'm starting to see a little bit of a different color here, but I do hear explosion.
Wait, but where did it go? What happened to it? It didn't hit. Wait, it didn't sit. This is the moment, right? Oh, here we go. Demo. It gets denied. Okay, the push continues. LucifroN. I love that. MarineLorD, he sacks one of the ships just to absorb the blow. So the demo wave, I don't feel like he's done enough here.
Definitely not. And MarineLorD, he still has ships that don't need to explode to do damage. So he's got a lot more on his side. It does feel a little bit iffy, but there's still a demo who can make a connection. And another one about to follow up, but the sniping is just too good for MarineLorD.
It looked like a prematurely detonated. I don't know if that's a target detonation. Sometimes when boats are moving away and you click on them, it's weird. Demos don't always do what they're meant to. And now the counter-offensive here with the man the sails to get in range. Remember, LucifroN, although the numbers looked even, he's been the one taking a beating here. Meanwhile, MarineLorD has just been soaking it up, enjoying that premium healthcare that the Shushi get when they defend like this via the repair on their boats.
Now, this is an interesting position, though, because we see both of these players are edging towards castle. LucifroN did not take the trades he needed to do this. But for him, he's going to need to find a pretty good answer here as those wood lines are thinning out. And this is usually that point of the map where people start to go into a different island. So LucifroN now going for the industry wing. This is going to allow him to have that little bit of boost in the wood department to ensure that he can actually take this for a little bit longer before he has to start to migrate. Now, Mount Lu Academy coming on out from MarineLorD as well. He is going to hit up Castle significantly earlier, but nothing too crazy coming out of that, because with the ships that he does have there at the back, quite far away, it does give LucifroN some time to keep making ships and be ready for a fight that could happen pretty soon. He also pulled his ships back to heal them up so they don't die instantly when they get into the next fight.
Probably a good idea. And, this is the point where you have to start discussing sushi in China and water and where they look outrageous. 20% more of a limited resource. Just think about that. This starting island you just discussed and him having to vacate, he'll have to vacate later than LucifroN is going to be forced to, because he will have 20% more wood via supervision. That's crazy in these type of situations. So wouldn't be surprised if MarineLorD waits for LucifroN to have to make that jump first. But bold moves from MarineLorD. He's got armored hulls. He's pushing in, but LucifroN has got a demo wave prepping for this.
Now, the demo wave has not landed like it did before, but we did see the times it did have success was when MarineLorD was forced to push out. But MarineLorD, he looks confident. He feels like he can take this. First demo coming from the front, and it doesn't look like any of the other demos are close enough to really do the damage. We see one by one just getting picked up, but now the south side attack also not feeling too committal with only 3.
It's awkward as well because the archer ships can just camp that. You're going to be going straight towards them. And now the spread of the line, you have to keep moving forward with LucifroN to cover fire and get your demos through. Connection trying to come through. A decent hit there. But the armored hulls is coming in clutch here. Most of those boats would already be dead if it wasn't for that extra HP.
Now, with the Castle Age through, he's got the extra wood, but does he have the time? MarineLorD's already here, and he is looking to heavily push. We now see him fighting up against these docks, because we know this is the moment where your opponent goes for a few upgrades for them ships to be able to sustain these fights. But MarineLorD knows exactly that, so he chooses a dock, ensuring that that production is slowed down, and also an upgrade or 2 cancelled.
The problem here, though, is when Spiral Cruise comes in, it gives you so much more DPS to burn through docks like this. The increased attack speed, also the range, means that demo ships can't just sneak out and catch you off guard. So we are at risk of LucifroN just having an inability to exist comfortably on the water at this rate. Fishing boats get idled out as he moves away. The Spiral count is double what LucifroN has, and he's still so far behind these techs.
Now, there is a little bit of time given here for LucifroN, but the supply does not lie, as we see that MarineLorD is on double military value here. So this man does not mind taking a fight. The demo ship's looking for a bit of a connection, but they realize this is not the moment for them to land.
Hold on a sec. The demo's the other way? What a backstab! That one demo holds the whole fleet hostage!
And just like that, LucifroN gets schooled on exactly how to land a demo by the great MarineLorD, the French waterman. He looks confident in his play. Absolutely wonderful, though. Beautiful play here.
I am jaw-dropped by that. I mean, that was 2 free demos maximum. Like, that's all it took to bring that down. What a phenomenal play there by MarineLorD. It's going to be demoralizing. Like, if you're LucifroN, after a game like that, game 2, he pumped so many of these demos just trying to actually get those kills. If you guys remember back on Holy Island, we had the 10 demo, the 10 demo, the 12 demo, and it didn't work. This game, we had the 10 demo, the 10 demo, didn't work. And then MarineLorD, so trivially, so easily, just ends the game with 3 demo ships around the back, putting LucifroN in quite the bind. But folks, I know not everyone's the craziest fan of water. At least the boys got it out of the way early, because the only remaining possibility for water would be... Actually, we've done them all. We've done Coastal Cliffs, Archipelago, Holy Island, and sorry, there's Calauga. That was a joke about Coastal. The water play now out of the way. The closer you can get is Calauga, which is more of a hybrid and land-focused map. But we will take a break from that, as next up we'll be heading on to Gorge. But a statement made here. And you can see by the way that LucifroN made his picks, it really was about this idea that he would get his edge off of playing water maps. 2 water maps, 2 games lost. What do you do now?
This does feel pretty tough, because LucifroN's happy place would have been that water, but MarineLorD's happy place Clearly, every part of every map he is pretty confident in. As we are now going into Gorge, though, and looking at this matchup, I feel like Delhi and China both have their strengths here. Delhi is pretty good at denying those pro scouts we see from people, but again, Delhi has not been too successful on the tournament sphere at the moment either. So, does MarineLorD have enough MarineLorD inside of him to make that Delhi as heavily oppressive as we've seen them able to be? Or does China's prowess on every single type of map just show us exactly what we need to do?
I think it's the Delhi success rate is like deceptive. To say that like they're not doing well, we have to remember that if you pull up the stats of this tournament, would you like to guess China's win rate, Marvin?
Tell me. Like 43.
8%.
Okay.
Right? So we should buff China then. Like, wait. Hold on a second, right? This is the thing. Like, House Lancaster, 53% win rate. Now, hold on. Like, we're hearing pros say that like that's ban-worthy on the level of China. So, even like I think Japan is the interesting one. They actually do incredibly well. They're the best performing Civ. But the point I'm getting to here is, especially in the earlier rounds when these type of picks get let through, there's a fair point to be made that like the lower quality players, especially if they play against the higher quality players, deceive the numbers. It's not the stats lie, people lie. So for me, China definitely not weak. Right, I've had my opinions on China long enough, but Delhi, if they can find their way into Castle 8 and Zoo Tycoon gets installed on your PC, I will be ranting, molding harder than Crackety.
And getting to the level of Crackety, that's harder than getting to the level of MarineLorD in Age of Empires. Damn, KP. Big words here. Now, with MarineLorD here on the Delhi, we see, I would like to take a look at a second to just take a look at the spawns to see where we could see that level of oppression from these guys. Now, LucifroN, MarineLorD here, he's got a forward gold, but usually Delhi is not the one getting their gold pressured. It is usually the other civilization who has those issues. But China here, with a very nice position to get raided by Ghazi raiders from the front, quick in and out, without needing to take too much damage. This does feel like a pretty far forward gold, if I've ever seen one.
Like I was just thinking about this matchup, for the Dark Age Rush. Like, we're in a Dark Age meta. These two civs never do it. It reminds me of when I watch a game between Byzantines and Malians. It's like, no one's gonna get Dark Age Rush. They just get their greed. So like, you have to focus beyond the age. The interesting part has been the motives that have been trying to Dark Age Rush Delhi with mixed results recently. But obviously Pro Scout's the priority here. This is one of the matchups which still keeps the residual effect of like Delhi sucking. If you remember when Pro Scouts was at its peak, Delhi started to lose a lot of value because Pro Scouts was too fast for them. This is one of those matchups that still has that element to it. So I am curious to see what MarineLorD sees as a solution, because Gorge has historically been a kind map to Delhi.
The thing is, like you said, with China, they just have pro scouts so quickly. But at the same time, they can produce horsemen so quickly with such a strong economy. So this does feel like a little bit of give or take. MarineLorD is going to need to do a lot of pressure. But with that, again, looking at the deer position, that is usually where you get your bit of information. Because with the deer spawns here on Gorge, we see that both the deer packs are on the same side. So once you do get control of that deer position, we saw what happened in the Rus game. It's very easy to snowball from there if you have a pretty heavy investment on that. At the same time, I feel like China, and especially a Chinese with 18 sheep, that is not going to be a China that's going to struggle for resources to be making units.
Yeah, and this is the versatility. Like, both these cities are great at this. Delhi have that double production with garrisoning scholars, and China just has the omni flexibility with the Imperial officials. I mean, the Imperial officials, you know what it's like? It's like gaffer tape. Just it fixes anything. Like, oh no, well, I've gathered food. Let me just switch my Imperial official over, move over to wood, fix that in a second. Oh no, I need an army in 2 minutes. Imperial officials got me covered. They really do everything, and it's crazy to think a long time ago, about a year and a half ago now, one of the devs was like, China should get those Imperial officials cheaper if they build the academy.
because they really struggled. It's
They
like the
do.
HRE with the Black Riders. At some point, people were just like, yes, this civilization, it doesn't have too much going for it. We should give it another little bit of an edge. But there's always a good reason for it. And I'm sure they had tested these especially well. But now, Mr. LucifroN here, he's getting enough of them wood to build a stable pretty soon. And same with MarineLorD now. We're going to be seeing, hopefully, some Ghazi on horseman action, as he does need to be slowed down. But LucifroN, he knows that Delhi has this ability to just produce units so fast. So he might just decide to be a little bit more conservative on these timings and rather invest in getting those early units to deal with the Ghazi raiders.
Yeah, and this is the thing, Ghazi, the beautiful thing, like, I just described economically the Omni wrench that is the Imperial official. Feels like for Delhi, the Ghazi is that. We see these guys snipe out spearmen, we see them harass economy, we see them win main battles. It's the extra health, the extra damage. It just gives them a lot more flexibility and capability to survive. And I have to be real, we're in like a meta where I don't want to say it's a horseman meta, but I feel like we're getting there. Ever since Knights of Cross and Rose came out and they improved the attack animation of ponies, you've seen a lot more horseman play than we ever have in the history of AoE.
And LucifroN, he knows this, of course, because we're playing against Delhi that make horsemen so quickly. Ghazi variety, of course. He realizes he's going to be oppressed for a long time. So it does look like he he invests into these scouts pretty early on because he might realize that this is the only deer he's going to be able to get before he produces enough to handle these Ghazis. We see the Ghazi raider number already increasing quite a lot as MarineLorD is queuing up more. But at least from this, there should be about 3 deer that do make it back to the base, which is already quite a bit of a boost because that's quite a bit of food that you're adding to your economy, ensuring that you can still make units non-stop. But for scouts, that usually doesn't bode too well if they're all stuck just looking at one side. Now, the spearmen, they're added here, but one of the scouts do go down.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward there, losing one that early. An interesting thing, MarineLorD understood the importance of this Pro Scout timing for him as well. Like, if you check the mills, I believe he queued up in the Pro Scouts on the primary mill, even though he done that Delhi double mill opening. So, sometimes you see it the other way around, where you just want the eco tech on your average gathering because your opponent isn't Pro Scouting. You'll just get it eventually, and it's an advantage. But here, against a civ like China, if you don't have it as quickly as possible, you'll blink and all the deer will be gone.
And already picking up a scout kill like that with the spears, it looks like MarineLorD lost focus for a second. He's taking quite a bit of damage here on the Ghazis, losing another one. So one of the spears did pay the price, but that's definitely a worthy trade here for LucifroN, because now every single Ghazi he killed there just opens up his ability to go get the rest of those deer out there, because now there's going to be a lot less pressure. Losing those high-value units at this point, it feels pretty tough here for MarineLorD, and he knows this. But now with the archers, he's going to be able to push back these spears. He does need to be careful, though, because 3 horsemen on the field already. They are going to need their Ghazis. The Ghazis are going to need to be there for the archers if they dare step out. But you can see already denying those sacred sites. LucifroN knows the tempo, and he's ready for it.
Yeah, and the thing I'm keeping an eye out for here is blacksmith decks. So MarineLorD hasn't started a blacksmith yet, which is getting a little bit concerning now. China has this habit of just catching you off guard. He did just see the first archers. That's like your warning bell, right? Like once that count goes up to 9, 10, China will have archery upgrade in 24 seconds. Whereas you're going to used to take still over a minute, even with scholar scaling. So like I am keeping an eye on that because, if you ever want to improve on understanding tech timings, blacksmith timings in Age of Empires 4, these are probably the 2 best civs to play against at the highest level to understand when and how you should prioritize techs.
And I mean, with Delhi, you don't really have the same ability to change your mind as quickly, but at the same time, you get the double blacksmith, and you can get them at a decent time, though. But LucifroN, he's investing into the +1 range defense now because he saw that huge amount of archers. He knows how important this is going to be, especially with the horseman stacking that he's doing. Now, keep in mind, MarineLorD does have the ability to go heal up those Ghazis when they do take a bit of damage. So the horsemen here from LucifroN, when they go for a kill, they need to kill. They cannot just take a little trade because it's not going to work out for them that well.
And like still direct follow up. And what makes it even more insane isn't just the rate at which they research these abilities. It's the fact that after he completed Undermesh, he got a third of what he needs to get the next tech. Right? He got 64 resources back on 175 resource tech. That's what makes this such a fluid move. Steel Dagger about to kick in here, so MarineLorD needs to clear as many as he can. If that DPS increase kicks through, the Horsemen are trying to target fire down, but great micro. MarineLorD just kind of stutter step covering it, moving one at a time to stop those Horsemen getting on too many archers. Pushes them away, maintains Sacred Site control, and is soon to capture the third.
Now, it does look like MarineLorD finally added in that blacksmith himself, realizing he's going to need to do a little bit more than just numbers to fight against these. More horsemen in the queue, and we see LucifroN getting a lot more spears. With MarineLorD just investing in the Gazis, the spears do feel like a pretty good answer. But again, we're playing against MarineLorD. MarineLorD is a man who is going to micro down as much as he needs to make those trades efficient. The thing is just with the numbers, we've seen what LucifroN can do in a normal old fight. And now with these sacred sites ticking, it does feel like MarineLorD has the choice of if he wants to transition into something a little different. And with the resources that he's floating now from the sacred site, he's got the gold in the bank. He doesn't even need to think about getting any more. He can keep producing scholars without investing any villager idle time doing so. I say idle time, but it's just worker time. Now they can just be invested elsewhere.
Yeah, and you know, the organic thing is you get a lot of flexibility of what MarineLorD's doing. Once he has these sacred sites, it's not about just fast teching. It's not just about spamming scholars. Trade. You trade your way into more Gazi. And so if your opponent tries to hold you in a headlock in Feudal Age, you know, if you think about it, China's biggest edge, I think, when they play long Feudal is actually bulking archers. They do it phenomenally well. You don't want to do that against Gazi. Right? That's pure nightmare fuel. So LucifroN definitely has the right idea. It looks like he's trying to get ready for Castle. He was definitely holding reserves for it. I mean, if this was an all-in, he would commit and even be trading the gold for food at this point.
Now, the slowdown here that we would see from someone usually going for Castle does not seem to exist, as LucifroN is just producing so many units, and MarineLorD, he keeps producing those scholars as well. Now, with the scholar number increase already at 10 now, he is going to have a pretty good time here in fights, but the horsemen, they are getting a pretty cheap shot, and the spearmen are not in position, instantly getting picked off with this slowdown of units, as we now see LucifroN floating so many resources, but taking this fight pretty okay. The problem is just, I think he sacrificed too much here.
He sacrificed a lot, and to make matters worse, I think 6 archers were attacking scholars the entire time, which does nothing. This is actually what makes winning against early Feudal so hard. It's not just the Gazi, it's the scholars have 130 HP and take no bonus damage. So unless you're playing a French Cav, Civ, Rus with their Cav and second H heavy Cav, you don't have a way of reliably killing scholars. That's what made that look so clean. And tech up complete. MarineLorD does have to do some catching up. I wonder if he's just going to try to starve the map first here, though. If he wants to do that, he's probably going to have to add in spears, because you know as soon as China ages up, they're thinking about heavy Cav.
Now, what I love about this MarineLorD, it feels like he spent that gold elsewhere to get some other resources, as it doesn't seem to all have been invested on scholars. He did have all that extra gold from the sacred sites, but now with the Lancers out on the field, this is going to start to get a bit harder, but Gazi Raiders deal pretty well with Lancers, especially in these numbers. MarineLorD, he realizes this. He doesn't mind taking a good old feudal deli fight against Castle China, especially once he knows that he shut down the pro scouting already. Pro scouting definitely delivered, but the amount of food he's now sacrificed in that last fight just means that these fights are going to be not too difficult for MarineLorD to take.
And we have got the classic MarineLorD macro, if you have a look at the top. The game where you want that gold. He's got that huge abundance here with... You know, I kind of love this about MarineLorD, though. Like, he does this all the time. And he makes it work. And I think that's kind of inspiring for a lot of people that are worried that they're just over-gathering wood, because... if you think about it, of all the resources you could just put more workers on, like queue workers onto and forget about, the tree line is the one, right? So we'll see the reallocation. I think he just added in a farm cluster to try and pad himself. It's not a bad point in the game to do it, but my question mark is, like, what are we doing about Lancers? Like, is Gazi going to be good enough to beat them? If he gets surrounds like this...
Yes. Especially with the numbers that he has here. But it does feel like the Gazis are just trading up more effectively, which makes sense. These are Castle Age units. The problem is just they're running out of firepower. There's not enough of them to handle these Gazi Raiders. And you can see they're just a move. They're not actually trying to target fire to do maximal damage. it feels like LucifroN here just losing a little bit of that momentum. MarineLorD building those farms, just like AP said, trying to get that food reallocated and the Ghazi Raider numbers up even more. Now, MarineLorD is nowhere close to castle, but with that last fight he just took, he probably feels pretty confident staying in Feudal a little bit longer against those knights.
It goes back to another game where you talked with water, right? The idea that whoever techs up first loses. Or the other thing is if someone techs up ahead of you, don't just tech up. You're behind if you do that. MarineLorD read that perfectly, and LucifroN, I think he thought that he'd forced a rush tech in response, which is why he was rushing out into the field. Because if he had been in that situation, MarineLorD, it would look pretty grim right now. You know, he wouldn't have as many guards, as many archers. But just a great read. I think without getting recontrol on the sacred sites, rushing and castle just didn't make sense for him. Now, after a fight like that, he can do whatever the hell he wants.
And with the amount of units he has on the field, we can already see the army value difference. It speaks for itself, but the destruction value, MarineLorD, like we'd say, is a destruction. He's just great at ensuring he takes those favorable fights, but these are hitting the spot right at the back. The Ghazi Raiders are trying to clean up the front lines here, but the Lancers are doing amazing work right now. It does look like this could be the one fight that LucifroN takes.
The numbers that even Stevens on the cavalry, this is not a good fight for the Ghazi anymore. A lot of them are already heavily injured. LucifroN, the fact that he's got high base damage units means you can't even tank with the scholars like you could have earlier when it was just horsemen. So Bale on the engagement sacks the scholars in the process. LucifroN says, I'm not done yet.
Problem is, there's a transition at the back, and that transition has just arrived. A few spearmen now here joining the fight. The question is just, did MarineLorD sacrifice too much that fight, losing all those Ghazi Raiders to these Lancers? Now 14 spears, part of this army, and MarineLorD being on farms, these do not feel as expensive, but at the same time, you're stuck in Feudal with your opponent already, I was going to say, sucking up the relics on the map, but not too aggressively.
He's trying, you know, he's got to take his time with it. You know, like, because the thing is, like, you know, if you suck them all up too quick, if you have that Hoover that's like, wow, look at this, has like 15,000 suck power. It just rips the carpet, you know. You gotta take your time with this, and it's same with the way you balance your economy. Like if he rushed out 4 monks, he wouldn't have the lancers to have pushed that back initially. I think MarineLorD was trying to originally hide the spears, by the way. I think he was trying to bait LucifroN to just commit only lancers and then reveal 30 spearmen and GG him. But Lucy forced the fight at the right time so you can learn and build into archers before it would be too much.
The problem is just those archers are going to take a while to get there, and one of the lancers do get picked up. It feels painful, but you have to ask yourself, does LucifroN have enough food to sustain this? While MarineLorD is slowly still stuck in Feudal, but for how long? That's the question. Because now getting another sacred site back, huge army yet again, and now not an army that LucifroN has an answer for, because 4 archers are just not going to be able to clean up much, especially with the Ghazis also being there in the mix. Now the spearman numbers from LucifroN has significantly decreased. He hasn't reinvested in these. And MarineLorD is still making Ghazi Raiders. So Ghazi Raiders, they are going to do a pretty good job at getting on top of those archers. And LucifroN is starting to become a little bit of a desperate man here, as we do see him out here on the berries. These villagers now idly running back to base, and he may not be able to pick up a kill here, but this does spell for some troubling times ahead.
Yeah, it's just the idle time. It's just really painful here. MarineLorD, especially considering he's securing sacred sites, that could be the opening he needs to go to the next stage. Continue to scale in the Ghazi at least. Dives coming in. The spearman mass, a bit too big. LucifroN with just 13 archers, not feeling that threatening, but the 1 or 2 lances leaking in is going to extend the lead. In a situation where MarineLorD had already skipped workers, going to get worse for him. But LucifroN, just look at the running here. There's barely any wood to gather. The food isn't safe. The only thing that LucifroN actually has actively gathering optimally right now is that ball, which MarineLorD's now heading towards.
Now that army may be heading that way, but does he realize? It looks like he doesn't. Oh, never mind. He sees it in the fog war. He sees
why
the
would
dead
you say
boar.
this so loudly?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, LucifroN. This one's on me, brother. Now, he does realize that there might be some sneaky villagers out here, but LucifroN at the same time trying to put a little bit of pressure down on the other side of the map. He picks up a few villagers, got some from the wood line, but MarineLorD's about to make up for that.
Our post is going to protect. That lance is going to go down. This one on the back farms idles out a bit, but will die. And in the corner, was he trying to wall? He was against Archer.
Now, just getting a little bit of the focus fire there from the boys. He does get a little bit of these units who are just stranded at the back with the Gazi Raiders now running elsewhere. We do see that Archer mass looking pretty strong here, and all of a sudden, MarineLorD still stuck in Feudal. He's probably going to ask himself, how do I get to castle? What am I going to do? How am I going to answer against all these archers? Because the Gazi Raiders that he has, again, very, very expensive. But we do see these lances extending a little bit too far. They do need to be careful because LucifroN, he's the man who's suffering for food. 29 food per minute now. He's a hungry boy.
I'm still baffled by that. LucifroN, the decision to try and wall in the corner, I think he panicked a little. Remember, against archers, that's kind of redundant. But the crazy thing is that if you look at the kill count and look at the worker count, you could say that all that difference is just taxmen. It's not. Like, MarineLorD is definitely skimped on workers. So, I think that's important to highlight here sometimes. Not to be like, oh, MarineLorD has not played a perfect game. We know he can. It's the fact he hasn't been able to because the way that LucifroN's also been playing into it, right? That speaks volumes to the level of skill. Because sometimes it's easy to just look at a game like this as a spectator and just go, well, he didn't play perfectly. But you have to understand why. And LucifroN is one of the best players at keeping the pressure on, even when you think you've got him down.
Now, this does feel like LucifroN can quickly make a mistake here if he overcommits. And those lancers are trying to be the front line, but MarineLorD just baited him out all the way back to the base. The archers are getting surrounded by the Gazis every step of the way, and they need to desperately focus down those spearmen. The lancers do not want to front line against the spears. The archer numbers are getting so thinned out.
It's not looking good.
But it does... Lancers, they're taking too much damage, KP.
I think he just has to leave the archers at this point, right? Like, losing the lancers is way too expensive, and then the body blocks. MarineLorD, he gets the trap! Pins him against the cav. That was the moment he was waiting for, and it's sunken cost fallacy. LucifroN didn't want to give over the last 6 archers. Ends up costing him, what, 3 extra lancers? 4 extra lancers? Definitely not worth it.
Now, LucifroN getting a few relics extra here as well. The archer reinforcements are here at the back of the base, and they are ready to do a bit of damage. But now, all of a sudden, MarineLorD's not asking himself the question we asked earlier. He doesn't need to get to castle. He's just making more Gazis. He's going to do this a lot better now. And LucifroN, he's not making spears against these because he just knows that there's a huge archer mass that doesn't fear much.
Once upon a time in Age of Empires 4, the thought of playing Feudal into Castle this long. Well, there's a word for that. And Twitch chat likes to throw it around a lot. It was throwing. But nowadays, people have gotten so good at understanding these times, understand the nuance that is a food transition, that they understand you can win with mass. MarineLorD sends it into the main. LucifroN holding on by a thread at this point. Barely any food to access as the boar on the north side should run out soon. The Lancer line is holding firm for the moment. There are no spearmen here. It's the best possible fight that LucifroN could have got. And it's going to be enough to push MarineLorD away for the quintillionth time.
And now the spearman numbers already just completely gone. LucifroN getting that little bit of food that he had now, able to produce a few more lancers to keep this going. But keep in mind, LucifroN doesn't realize that MarineLorD may have skimmed out on a few villages during this game. So for him, this could still be a surprise when he gets to this point. But the lancers now, they have to A-move. They can't just
Oh, no, not again.
right-click.
Not again.
Oh,
this keeps happening. This has been the entire game. If you had to choose one thing to summarize this game, it's been Ghazi strangle-holding lancers. That's the 3rd time we've seen it occur. LucifroN resets. And I'm just going to say one thing, Warben. 20% extra. Any other Civ at this point would have ran out of food. That 20% extra is the thread that's been allowing LucifroN to keep getting lancers.
And the taxes as well. Just the fact that you're able to pick those up when your gold is still available by this point and you've been actively mining it at 23 minutes. That's how you know the taxman, it's working. He doesn't fear much. The taxman is just a happy man. But now the lancers are trying to find some eco damage because again, like we said, the fact that MarineLorD has skimmed on the villagers is not a known fact to LucifroN. He knows he needs to do eco damage because he realizes in a normal game, he might be a bit behind. And you can now see those units are desperately running back to base and he needs to get farms ASAP. He's got a few, but how long are they going to be enough against this MarineLorD army that he's now facing? Now enough spears to take those fights, a lot better than we saw before, because now 13 lances, they're still not going to do that great against 22 spears that we see here. But 5 relics in the bank of LucifroN.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, another thought is like LucifroN's getting to the army size where if the spearman wave gets too big, you can just add in 2 or 3 springolds. Sounds kind of crazy against Ghazi until you realize just how many lances he still has. And I think, is he setting up farms himself? I think LucifroN's now adding in farms. They're not going to be pretty ones because he doesn't have granary access. Yeah, it's normie farms.
At least it's a little bit of food, KP. He just needs to feed the village a little bit. Now, the problem with that wood line as well is all of a sudden you're actually losing access to what could be farms. And all of a sudden you're going to need to expand to parts of the map that you definitely do not want to be on. And MarineLorD, he's got the food in the bank. We can see the food income pretty stable and most of it just from farms.
Is this a sandwich? And if so, what's the filling? MarineLorD, it looked like he was trying to invite LucifroN in there. Ballsy maneuver. Lancers, they discover it early. MarineLorD, he tries to plow past him. Good reactions out of the Spaniard. The problem is the same as we saw in this area last time. The archers are too slow. They bog down the retreat. They force him to stand his ground with the lancers, and it allows MarineLorD to once again catch up, reset it, and continue to build a bigger military lead.
The difference now is he's got the gold in the bank to actually go to go castle if he so preferred. Those lancers taking okay trades as far as running into spearmen are concerned, but the spearmen numbers are still there. And LucifroN is now desperately trying to make archers at 300 food per minute. He doesn't want to be making these. He wants to be farm transitioning, but every bit of wood he's got is also going into those. Now the archers being picked off too, the lancers desperately trying to get back. And he constantly making these types of mistakes is what is going to ensure MarineLorD stays in this.
Deja vu. I've been in this place, but no one else want to go there. I don't know why. I just got the instinct to start singing out Initial D after that one because I feel like we are just watching the same thing play over again and again. And you keep thinking there has to be an end in sight. But the weird part is like both of them have continued this farm transition. It hasn't been a clear one-up. MarineLorD undoubtedly with the eco leading that department though, you gotta start favoring him. You know, LucifroN, it's crazy to say that we've got 11 lancers, but look at those health bars. These boys ain't pretty.
Now there are some healing available at the back of the map, but it feels like he's just putting these so far out, they're never gonna see the light of a bit of healing. These lancers now getting on top of the archers as the spearmen have been thinned out, and MarineLorD hasn't remade those spears. He's just making more Ghazis and more archers. It feels like there's this constant switch in MarineLorD's composition that keeps LucifroN on his toes too, but he realizes, I just need to keep making archers to make this work. But 280 food per minute doesn't make that pretty.
Well, like, the problem here is, right, that do I go spearman? Well, your opponent has archers. Difficult. It's the same flaw as, like, lancers can be tricky to your opponent with spears, but at least you have really good archers, so he doesn't want to do that. So what does that leave? Palace Guard? I know some people are going to throw that one out. I've watched Palace Guard against Ghazi. It's actually kind of depressing. Ghazi do surprisingly well. And the other problem is it doesn't alleviate your concern. LucifroN has a food issue, not a gold issue. You go Palace Guard when you have a gold issue because it's cheap, 25. When you've got all the gold in the world, which he does with 5 relics, you do Lancers because it's closer to 50% food, 50% gold.
And he can finally make a play for these sacred sites as well, which is kind of good because you're also denying your opponent that little bit of gold trickle that he's had as well. We can see that Lancer getting healed up, the fight of the horses, and the Lancer will prevail as he does have a little bit of healing available to him. But the archer number from LucifroN now, keep in mind, these are Castle Age archers. They do okay against these Ghazis. And yes, they got surrounded, but now we're getting to the point of 34 archers where all of a sudden, a Ghazi surround doesn't feel as scary. Sure, you're still going to clean them up, but you're going to need a lot of Ghazis to make this work. We see those Ghazis melting quite a bit here. Now, he's still target firing those spears as much as he can. Ooh, I say that as he's just focused on the Ghazis too. He knows the power of these, and he is doing a great job at killing this. It doesn't look like MarineLorD has shut down LucifroN just yet.
No, I was doing like my singing exercises, getting ready to sing Deja Vu at people again because that was close to being a repeat. But LucifroN, He didn't take the bait. He didn't commit the Lancers too soon, considering it's mostly spears. MarineLorD, though, the amount of farms is getting out of control. He just walled this area. I think his farm count must be... Is he at like 40 farms now as Delhi? That's kind of crazy for feudal age Delhi. LucifroN is going to mirror him here. So 46 farms for Delhi in feudal age. You don't say that often.
The problem is, with those farms, he's getting a healthy set of income, but the units he's making, they're not going to be able to fight against these Castle Age units from LucifroN forever. And you see those archers just absolutely destroying as well. The problem is still, MarineLorD may have baited him quite a bit further. The Gazi numbers, they are decreasing significantly, though. And it does feel like a pretty heavy fight. Lances not connecting. Like you said, they are just pulling back. But every little cheap shot they get is expensive because, again, the food eco is just not all there for LucifroN just yet, but it seems like food eco he has, it's enough.
But now, that was a bit worrisome for a second. You know, he's A-clicking down the Ghazi, which isn't a bad idea with veteran archers with +2 damage, but Min and the spears just kept the Lancers out of the affair the entire time. So it looks like he has finned the Horde. Lancers can commit in now, maybe a bit prematurely, though. There's still a decent amount of spearmen here. LucifroN will be able to stand his ground here. It's not a full forced retreat necessarily with so few Ghazi. I guess he's hesitant because you never know how many Cav are coming behind this. His food income is still substantially worse off than MarineLorD's.
Now, I absolutely love this whole archer play, but at the same time, LucifroN just adding one lancer in here and there because of their price. But you can see the food is stabilizing at around 1,000 now, and this is okay for China. This is not an awful position. We see those normal farms.
We don't want to look at those. Those are illegal. All right, like and there's a Chinese player in chat right now who's probably vomiting at that. When do you ever see China build mills for anything other than pro scouts and berries? It's crazy to think this happened in this game, but you know, LucifroN, dare I say, he's cracked the egg. Like, has he achieved it? It's wild to think we could be in this position. I mean, MarineLorD does have a slight eco lead, but the relic gold makes up for that. And now 60 archers at this stage. The Ghazi are just trickling into their death. It's now, ironically, the Chinese with the sacred site timer ticking down to try and boot Delhi out of this game.
And Delhi, 31 minutes into the game, still in feudal, is not something I had on my bingo card today. But these Lancers, the numbers are constantly thinning. We can see them going down, and MarineLorD, he realizes these Ghazis are just not hitting the way they did before. The problem is now, all of his food also being on one side, these guys are going to start getting raided, and these fights are going to get worse and worse for him. Now, another Lancer in queue. LucifroN's army is getting scarier and scarier, and he's still pretty fine in every part of the income. He's living a good life, and those Lancers are now going to be disrupting the food economy here from MarineLorD.
Just think about how scary this game must be from LucifroN's POV when you're building mass archers like this. Like, if MarineLorD had been teching at any stage, if just one War Elephant comes out, the whole plan gets reset. The balls, the cojones on this man to just full device send it with archers only, essentially. Those archers are going to get cut off, though. This wall kind of griefing him. LucifroN may have overextended somewhat into this area, but MarineLorD, there's weird problems emerging. Did you notice what just happened to his food income? Down from almost 2k to 1,000 a minute.
And the problem is the archer trickle is not slowing down. We see he's killing a lot, but there's still so many on their way. And the trickle is different for LucifroN because his are Castle Age ones. And there's a Lancer in the mix every now and again, just slowing him down more and more. MarineLorD desperately trying to use his gold to stay in this too, as we see that gold just decreasing every single time. And it's not because of scholar spend. It's because he's actually reusing that gold and repurposing it, most likely as food, as that food income is now under 1k, and LucifroN has finally taken over. A total of 2 Lancers soon to be on the field, which is actually pretty wild. Woo! We've got horse!
I mean, this feels like horse in the 21st century. There's not many of them. We've done too many wars with them, and well, you see why there's not many of them when they die like this. The Ghazi, I think we just reached that point. MarineLorD's stuck in a bind, just trickling Ghazi that insta-die. They don't absorb more than 1 volley of arrows, compared to the Lancers that at this stage can easily take 3, 4. More, in fact, considering they're only taking 1 damage from each one of these feudal archers. MarineLorD stands his ground for what looks like it could easily be the last time in this game. LucifroN on the verge. He does it. He evens us up. It is not a fluke. That game one beginning, he loses water twice, but he's starting to prove that he may be the Lord of Land.
Now, having a game like this feels pretty tough for MarineLorD, because MarineLorD baited so many mistakes out of LucifroN, and I absolutely love that. I love seeing that at this top level, players can force one another to make mistakes. MarineLorD showed exactly that, but LucifroN, he did the same back, giving MarineLorD that false sense of confidence, pulling him back into his base, and then just turning it around, realizing exactly what he needed to actually take those fights even into a group of Ghazis. We see that military value lead. It was in the hands of MarineLorD, up and down, until he overcommitted just that slight bit. And after that, it's just downhill.
Yeah, MarineLorD, I mean, I think I've noticed in the past, he's a very big fan of just like sticking to Delhi Feudal long term. I don't know if you noticed that as well. Like, he's a very big fan of just trying to edge it out in the second age. It makes sense. It's a snowbally sieve for age 2. But props to LucifroN. It really looked like several different points in that game he was going to be starved out this one.
Now we are going to take a look at some of these best moments. That little Lancer trying to raid around. You can see those Lancers, they caused a bit of idle time, but they didn't get a lot of kills. MarineLorD here killing a bunch more villagers in this stage of the game. Now the question is just, was it worth it for him to forego some of these villagers that he was making to just keep getting that military going? And at what point did it cost him the game? Because that eco from LucifroN just keeping up with this, it feels like this was the differentiating factor as well.
Yeah, you know, he was on the verge of breaking LucifroN multiple times, it felt like. It reminds me of when people play Phrygian Marshes and you do a full feudal dive against a castle up. And you kill like 15 of the workers, but then you start losing all your army. And you're like, okay, did I kill him? Have I won the game? And then you feel a need to recommit. And it's one of those things, you know, it's like getting in debt. And you get, you know, like not the memes, but like the depressing situation where like someone's using a credit card to pay for the credit card to pay for the credit card. It's that type of feeling to it when you miss that hit in the feudal age. And I wonder, looking back, MarineLorD thought that there was like a moment where he could attack on land from the flanks, right? Just like go in and actually hit the economy instead of trying to win these direct fights.
Because at some point, those feudal age units are just not going to be hitting the same way. Now, guys, honestly, what I'm really excited for as all these units are falling like flies in front of us, and we see that overcommitment here from MarineLorD into the Lancers, under the TC, and the Archers being the next target, we see a Byzantines versus Mongols coming up. And honestly, this is one of my favorite matchups, and I love that it's on Altai, because I've been playing this on ladder all the time, and I'm loving it. Because I feel like there are so many things that Mongols gets to do, and Byzantines, they have to react properly to this. I feel like this early game is such a skill differentiating question for most of us, but I guess we'll see with the pros what the right answer is going to be, and if that tower rush is going to land, if it is even the choice of weapon, from a Mongol player.
I'm glad you clarified it was the matchup and not the map. So I was like, uh-oh. Wildman's back full in English swing for a second there. If it's all about the hype for Altai. I don't know if I like where this one is going, but guys, you just got to take a moment to appreciate this. MarineLorD now in one series has lost infinitely more games than he has up to this point. 2 games dropped. It looked grim on the water, but LucifroN has finally been able to turn that LucifroN upside down. I'm excited for this because with how he's been playing on land, there is only land maps left, woman. So, in theory, the realms where MarineLorD has been favored have now passed.
Well, you say favored, but I feel like both of these players, they're just showing us the top level Age of Empires. And honestly, I am so proud of LucifroN, because after he failed to qualify for the Masters of Steel LAN, it was an end of an era for us. But he says, I'm back. Guys, watch me. And this is the type of gameplay you expect from someone who missed the top 8 and now getting up here, already qualified into top 3 minimum. This man is brought his A game, and I'm so excited to see what this looks like. And I see there in chat, people are asking, what is the favorite matchup in this? Honestly, guys, I would say this depends on the spawn, because if you get a spawn where two of your critical resources are next to each other, it feels like the Byzantines need to commit just a little bit harder to get those to safety. And the thing is, Mongols can deny that just that little bit quicker because of the double spearman production in Dark Age. And the question is just, do we just go on different resources? How do we allow this to snowball? We'll see what they say, because honestly, I know you guys are all Conk 3 in Twitch chat and YouTube chat. You guys are around Conk 1, right? So you might know the answer, but they have a different answer all the way up there in Conk 7. So we'll see what the boys tell us to do. But KP, you cast these types of games all the time. Do you ever get to see Mongols versus Byzantines?
Sorry, it's just when you said you cast these games all the time, I thought about all the Altais recently, and it kind of broke me. Yeah, we see a lot, not so much Mongol versus Biz anymore. It used to be a classic one where Mongol players got baited into thinking they just won because Biz they would overcommit into like guarding. And that was true. The Limitane meta of solution was bad for Byzantines because they ran out of food. So like Mongols would just drain them. But nowadays it's different. We've got new builds, we've got Hippodrome to consider. We head into Altai. Mongols for LucifroN up against Byzantines for MarineLorD. And you know what excites me about this map, Mohammed? It's not like Altai used to be. You know, you have to think about the Mongol rush, but you also have to think about the Feudal follow-up, because this map does feature a way of getting extra stone for a civ that uses it for aggression.
Now, the other thing I want you to notice, KP, is that food spawn, because you mentioned something about starving people out and ensuring that you just produce more and shut them down, but you spawn with a deer pack, and usually that makes things a little bit harder. The problem is, MarineLorD, he may have gotten a MarineLorD spawn here with the berries and the gold to the back. He did not get one with the deer. So the deer is definitely not going to be his infinite food source that he needs. And we'll see the sheep count pretty soon on this as well with MarineLorD to see if he's going to be able to outproduce this in the early stages. As we see that barracks finally coming down. And this is going to be an aggressive LucifroN moving on out to be a nuisance.
It's a Hippodrome game. So this was the classic solution for Biz players. Oh no, my berries. But if I eat them, I mean, you can still get some value though, because if you drop an outpost on the back, you block berries deer, and then you aggro front. The other cool thing that I was alluding to with this map is there are point of interest in the corner of Altai that generate stone. So opening spears but not getting your Dark Age rush you're looking for isn't the end of the world. LucifroN could turn that into a nice little extra economy if he comes back to his side afterwards and just captures the stone generator.
That feels like a healthy amount of sheep, though. And as a Mongol player, when I have my TC on top of the deer, and now I have 8 sheep just trailing to the back, I don't feel the need to go home. I don't need to go home. I've got all the food in the world right there in my base, and those villagers finally getting pulled off of wood, finally going for a little bit of food, and we see spearman production is underway. 2 for now, another one being added. So he's going to keep this going, but the Hippodrome is already on the way. And this is just going to mean that he's going to look for some aggression on the other side. The question is just, where's he going to find that aggression? Because he's got pretty safe gold. He's got pretty safe food. The only thing he's going to be able to target is an uwu and some woodline.
Yeah, I mean, the Uvu's really far up, though. It's a kind of a depressing spawn. Like, you say only the woodline, only the Uvu. Think about how you make the world go round in Feudal Age. It is wood. LucifroN made a pretty ballsy choice here to choose the gold and the deer. In fairness, like, he didn't have a good option, actually. Like, his spawn is kind of subtly bad, if you think about it. It's like, you get food and gold, and that sounds really good. But your tree line's unguarded, your stone is unguarded, and your backup wood lines are really, really far off. So, like, with the Hippodrome build, if MarineLorD just opens, say, archers here, I think he's in a really good place.
Question is just if he is going to be able to do anything with archers, if they are able to arrive in time to shut this down, because LucifroN just needs a little bit of wood to be able to make a stable. And then he already has all the answers he needs to make a Kashik or 2 and shut down anything, because even with the Hippodrome, you do not want to trade those horsemen into Keshiks. I've learned that the hard way. I thought to myself,
Yeah.
oh, I could take this. No, no, you cannot. Do not have that false sense of confidence. It is pretty tough. And we already see him pulling over those villages to wood because he realizes this is not going to be an infinite resource. This is going to be very limited edition. But now we've got our little our little Byzantine mercenary house coming on in, and we'll see what the choice of weapon here is. KP, do we get some Keshiks, or are we going to play it safe?
You'd be surprised by Keshiks. It doesn't often feel good to build the unit against the Civ that can build more of them. You know, that's like the extreme. That's like playing Counter-Strike and you being like, you know, silver. You're like, I'm gonna just ego peak Stewie 2K, which is a pro level player. It's like, no. It's like queuing in a beastie. Is like, well, I'm clearly just gonna like play the late game against him, or like Doom is another example. I'm just gonna go to late game against them. You probably want to lean to some cheese instead. So I'd expect it to probably be, you can do lombos on a map this linear, and boom, there you go. Yeah, queues it up. The thing that is interesting, like we talked about him opening arches. Now with the lombo there, you don't do it. What you do here actually is I think you maybe just neglect the Hippodrome and go Limitane Lombo. Because if the wood is a problem for LucifroN, he can't solve Limitane at all.
Yes. That's true, because he's going to need to make units that cost any amount of wood. The problem is just when you do have Keshiks, you have an answer to most of what your opponent is going to be doing. We did see him spend a significant amount of resources there, but I did not see any unit coming on in or an upgrade. So I'm really excited. Oh, we do see it coming from the stable. It's not showing up in the UI, but something is being made for. Oh, there we go. The Keshik boys.
Yeah,
the
so double
Keshiks.
production doesn't show. Okay, that's interesting. Whoops. I just heard cow break song in the background.
Custom UIs, they're great, but they need to be tweaked to anything, and those double Keshiks are going to be making a big difference.
I mean, don't you just make them drink a vodka shot every time they discover one of these? By the end of the day, you're just like you ever played GTA and you go get drunk in the bar and you have like the swirly effect? Like that'll be the camera work at the end of the day after the shots challenge. But interesting, LucifroN, was he out here to capture this for the stone timing? I think he was. We'll get away just the nick of time, but MarineLorD, he's not going to make it that easy.
The fact that MarineLorD was this fast with the reaction, he knew his limits and he instantly pulled back. Absolutely love this, but that's a lot of horsemen. I say this, and then I just cursed the horseman. I'm sorry, guys. It happened again. I will not say this again. MarineLorD, he's not perfect. He loses one horseman, finally, the first mistake of his pro career. And I might have just jinxed it yet again.
The first ever mistake of MarineLorD's career. He has never dropped the series in an unfortunate fashion. He's never failed before, right? You know, because to be real with you, it would take something magical to beat MarineLorD.
Something like a Keshik raid on top of longbows.
Oh, horseman.
Pretty good surround here, but the Keshiks do look like they have right-clicked and do not take the trades as favorably. But keep in mind, guys, he's got the Hippodrome, he's healing up those horses. But the Keshiks, they also heal for every hit they do. So he does lose one, but the trade looks to be even on paper. But in reality, he's got one longbow left, and that is a limited edition unit from his side. So, not an even trade. Limited edition, because he needs oil. We don't have unlimited of those bad boys. We need to produce them with oil.
But if you look on his underside, underneath his shirt, if it says 1 of slash and he's hollow, you can make a lot of money off of him. So just stick him in a case at home. Yeah, I think that was really well played by LucifroN. He understood correctly that, you know, the thing that's going to kill him at the tail end of the fight isn't the horseman. He can run away from that. When he's got heavily injured Keshiks, it's the lombos that are going to give him the kick to the jugular. So erasing them is just smart. On top of that, as you said, you can't rescale it quickly for MarineLorD. But like, I'm still surprised we haven't seen spears at all. You know, MarineLorD, it does feel like an ego child to just try and do raw ponies into Keshiks, but it has forced LucifroN to add in a lot of spearmen. Spearmen that are right now choosing poor fights.
The spearmen, though, baiting out the Hippodrome activation, it does feel like you did get some a little bit of extra value in all of this, but the villager
wait.
does not
He
get
killed
spotted.
the scout. Was that intentional? He killed the scout, so that doesn't get seen. That's kind of sick, actually. And And by the way, like the Hippodrome, the interesting thing is like it was only 4 seconds, so he kills 4 spearmen. He gets like the duration back somewhat. It's not the worst thing, but what is a bit depressing for him is the fact that this guy, I mean, he has no right to be alive.
This guy worked hard. He deserves it, KP. If you survive an onslaught with all those horses hiding away in your little stealth forest afterwards, this man has worked for his life. The problem is now, this is a heavy horseman army. And I'm seeing 10 Keshiks. Now, guys, if you are an armored horse, you do not mind taking a fight against a normal old horse. And you can see those fights are not going well. MarineLorD right now, he's getting another set of longbows next, but again, limited edition ones. And they do not do too well against the Keshiks, especially with those Keshiks now getting +1 ranged armor. They're going to be taking some very heavy fights very confidently.
Oh, LucifroN, could he do it? Could he take the lead from behind? March ahead in this one. I mean, the position looks good in this. The deer being gathered is never a good look for Byzantines, especially when the horseman count is not that big. And I still just go back to wondering, like, why does MarineLorD not want Limitane? Now it probably makes sense. Like, at this point, if you switch Limitane, LucifroN has enough map control to gather wood. But earlier on, I think maybe MarineLorD, like, we've seen him win deep in tournaments, crucial games with Triumph. Did he overvalue it? Did he think it would make him triumphant here?
Well, if you're going up against double counter of your units, triumphant abilities do not result in the triumph themselves. But now, MarineLorD is not even thinking about the usual feudal fights, as we see that he's floating a lot of resources, and he's thinking about some other spicy plays, but the horses are getting a decent connect here. They need to try and push this back, because now 5 villages are about to be the next target. Longbows trying to fight down these spearmen, but the Keshiks are doing so well at cleaning up this tower, and those villagers need to be so careful, because if he loses that amount, he's pretty much cooked.
He needs to find a moment, just tap repair. This is getting low, but he's maximizing the damage at the moment, and it is working for a moment at least. The triumph. The Keshik line is being finned. The spearmen are all but dead. The villagers are actually going to run away in that moment. MarineLorD skirts it to get out. Few Keshik, the spearmen left alive, and we're going to have to check that system, because I think he might have had Presidium on. Hence why the outpost lasted that long. It was on. What a sick play out of MarineLorD to minimize the lost timing on that outpost, to keep himself alive for a potential age up at the end of this dive.
Now, the problem is with these Keshiks, they're armored. They don't mind a little bit of TC fire, and there's more coming. So the spearmen, they may have been cleaned up. These villagers are trying to fight back, but they're doing so much damage against them.
It's so much idle time. It's so much idle time right now. It's a bit of a panic. Like, you can see MarineLorD is reluctant to add in more units with the way he's holding his macro. But he has to. You just can't. You can't greed this anymore, right? LucifroN, he's even moved the deer stone up to get the new troops in quicker.
And you know, a Mongol feels confident when he moves those landmarks up all the way.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Getting that bonus out of the normal old base, you feel pretty good getting your military units there to run around and do the damage they need. Villagers now also taking more damage. Those Keshiks healing up with every hit. And now from 2 sides, that TC is fully stacked and nobody else is getting in.
Yeah, you've gone from all-in to raid again, if you think about the way the Keshiks is playing. And you know what the crazy thing about LucifroN is? That's where he's best. I wouldn't say he's the best all-in player. You give that crown to his bro out of the 2 of them. But raiding is where LucifroN has been king. The question mark is whether he can now find a way to follow suit into the next stage. He got some eco damage done, but we all know those sippy cups, those cisterns, make up for a 6-villager deficit easily.
Now, the 6-villager deficit might also just be a little bit of a mental thing here as those Keshiks keep on charging in. Because once you've lost 7 vills, it feels pretty hard to keep this momentum going. He sees this age up, though, and he knows that this is a good moment to attack, getting to the backline again and getting rid of those limited edition longbows and ensuring he cleans this up. This is important for him. And you see those Keshiks being split like that. He's got a few on the longbows and the rest of them on the horses, because he knows if I get these guys down, my spearmen are going to be able to take fights a little bit longer. Now, the Golden Horn Tower finishing up. It's going to stop producing longbows, but it's going to need a lot of time to do so.
Yeah, but a level 4 system, not as much time as you'd think. About 1 minute 45 for 5 longbows is pretty crazy. The villager loss is the bigger problem. MarineLorD, there's nowhere safe to go here. This greedy mother ducker did not get wheelbarrow. LucifroN is now 1 game away from providing the upset after upset to be the first through to grand finals.
Finally, getting someone to show MarineLorD he's not all that every single time. The only 3 games he's lost this tournament to LucifroN, showing him exactly what early game aggression is supposed to look like.
At least he can say if the Spanish bros he might end up losing to is the one that sounded French, but I'm getting worried for MarineLorD, man. LucifroN just seems to have him kind of checkmated on these early tempo timings. I think that's been the difference here, is that MarineLorD has really staked his claim on being a player that takes a slight lead and then is calculated about it. We hear it in interviews all the time. If I'm just a 2% ahead, I can turn it into a bigger advantage. You know, like, he isn't getting that 2%, Reka. He got it on water. He hasn't had it once on land. LucifroN is so good with his first 15 minutes and controlling the game. It's an iron vice grip.
Now, with a map like Frisian Marshes, we're going to need to see that grip hold on tightly, because it's one of those where you easily overinvest into one thing and it can snowball so quickly. But just like we saw on this map now, with all these trades, LucifroN knew when to commit, he knew when to pull back, and I think that's just what these two players have been showing us in every single game we've watched. Every single time, a little bit of an overstep is a force from your opponent to just ensure that you make a small bit of a mistake. And MarineLorD, by this point, not having a barracks out, I feel like this could have been a little bit of a turning point for him. Getting a few limits in Aendir, ensuring the Kashyyyks are not just free to roam and to kill, that triumph ability is not going to substitute a good old spearman into the horseback.
Yeah, like, I think thinking back on that one, for me, it was, we said it very early, like, why not just Limitane this spawn? You know, if you have spearman out of the gate, I'm not even sure the LucifroN gets to dictate terms, but it's almost like the tunnel vision of, yo, this tech is really good. This Hippodrome Triumph is really strong. It can bait you sometimes. Even the best players in the game, it sounds insane. You know, you're taking a 9 damage unit and increasing its damage by almost 50% with +4 and healing, and you chase better. What's not to love? But LucifroN, man, he peeled it back like a monkey would a banana. It looks so simple for him. But will he be able to ape the HRE out of this is really the question. I mean, Ottomans have been growing in popularity in this map. It looks so good, and I'm sure you've seen it, Wellman. These new meta builds with the Imam Aura on top. Ottomans isn't about late game anymore. It's about that first 20 units.
And what I absolutely love about Ottomans is they just have so many cards that they can pull in this matchup. If they stay long enough in Feudal, they just get another Vizier point. That's the great thing about the Civ. So now you pull out your Imams to ensure you can heal up your army. But the question is, can they do this against HRE? Because HRE is the Civ that has men-at-arms in Feudal. And now, usually, I'm sure everyone has experienced this. You play against HRE and all of a sudden there's 20 men-at-arms. The thing is just, Ottomans doesn't allow that because they will cut off your gold. Especially with the golds being so far out, you're not going to get a safe one. If they are active and present on the map, it snowballs pretty quickly, and you're not going to be able to just produce the units that are so hard to kill. And what I love about Ottomans as well with the Mechters, once your HRE opponent just invests in archers, the Mechters are just like, hey guys, listen to my song, you have +2 range defense, and hello, did you see my Sapahis yet? And all of a sudden, you have a lot more problems. So we'll see what the HRE man can do here. But I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot of action. And both these civilizations have some Dark Age potential.
To quote an always enjoyable man from Dota 2 called Lacoste, bang your drums, bang them up. And the meta really feels like it is screwing you over that hard in the Feudal Age. It's the versatility. You know, if you feel a little bit outnumbered by mass melee armor, +2 melee is crazy in H2. Even the ranged armor, +1 doesn't sound like a lot, but against a 5 damage unit, it's a weld. And if you're snowballing a win, attack speed from Chase Town. I mean, it's just phenomenal, the tools that the Ottomans have in their arsenal. In some ways, they can feel linear at times, but that linearity doesn't matter when it's as powerful as this Imam opening has become.
That imam, for those of you, I love to over-explain stuff. So, guys, give a second for the wham explanation with the imams.
You got to do the history of imams, like founded
Yeah.
back in the 12th century, and like just that's the next step. But go.
Oh, yeah. I need to get there. I need to get on Bella level of knowledge to be able to reach that. But for now, with the imams, you're just forcing your opponent to take trades that they don't want to take, because getting that many units out in the early game, it is expensive. And those imams healing up your army in Feudal Age, that means if you do not kill a unit, they're going to come back and haunt you at full HP. But LucifroN opening here, not with a barracks, but with a military school. Good old Ottomans from the day they were released. Wonderful. What a wonderful day to be alive.
Oh, yes. And what an interesting situation we have here. Upper bracket finals, game number 6. And the score does not lie. LucifroN, after taking a 9-month break away from Age of Empires 4, is in the upper bracket finals, 1 game away from grand finals. And what a way to do it would be, to beat MarineLorD in the process. And Ottomans, it's kind of funny thinking about these two civs, Warman. HRE one side, Ottomans the other. If you think about these two civs a year ago, polar opposites. HRE, OP, Ottomans, why would you pick it? Nowadays, I wouldn't be surprised to see the majority of pro players putting Ottomans above HRE in their tier lists.
HRE had a place in the meta where they just had too many things that they could fall back on. But Ottomans, it just has more answers to that of HRE. So I think HRE in most meta, or in most matchups, they're still doing pretty well. But players know what to pick into it. Players know how to shut a little bit of the HRE prowess down. So I think the more players get to this high level and are competitive in that top 8 spot sphere, we're going to be seeing HRE just not be that dominant anymore, because you still see HRE being in a pretty good spot in every other scenario. When you do have the top 16 or the top 30 compete, HRE is still a very, very strong civilization. But when you get to these top level games, there are answers to these, and these guys have perfected them. MarineLorD now getting the Arcane Chapel, so no, we will not be seeing any Minework shenanigans, Twitch chat. I know you guys were rooting for this, but he's playing it safe. He needs that eco boost. Yeah.
I feel like I can count on one hand when I've seen him do it. Like, if this was B or Anatan, one of the players we'll be playing later today, you see mine work more than Arkan. But MarineLorD still trusts in this landmark. And it's interesting, you've got to focus on economy here. You know, a lot of people look at this and go, well, doesn't HRE just win because they have more resources? The deceptive part is those imams we'll be seeing coming down the line. And, you know, a man once said, feudal healing is OP. Do you know who said that?
Ooh.
Me.
Oh.
It's broken. It's like, if you think about it, for the history of AoE4, there's always been this leak through. At launch, it was the chivalry French knights people hated. We had the herbal medicine from the Delhi, if you remember. More recent times, it's been the Ottomans as well as the dervish play from the Ayyubids that's given them a lot more leeway than other civs would get.
Now, this is an interesting spot to be in, because a lot of people would say that, hey, it's not that big of a deal if my opponent does have the healing. But the difference comes in when you stay in a prolonged feudal fight. If you're able to stop your opponent from going to fast castle or getting to a point where they can take down those units. And I think that was maybe the differentiating factor, because for a long time, those feudal healing civs, they didn't have the pushing ability to shut down fast castle civilizations. And fast castle just means that your feudal healing does not mean as much when the units hits twice as hard. But all the players now understanding, hey, I need to be aggressive in feudal. I can't just let my opponent get there. It's already changing that meta into something that is a little bit more manageable. Now, Twin Minaret Madriz coming on in as well. And this just ensures that he's going to be able to sustain a lot more of that food eco than most, especially with this map being so difficult to get food out of if you don't have the full control. But we see that first archery range coming in, and we've seen this from HRE. HRE archers, absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, they just snowball it so well, especially with Arkan. It's funny, actually. I think Arkan is obvious for archers, but I think Minework is also underrated because of the timing. Getting still down under mesh just so fast snowballs a lead, but you know, it comes back to what we talked about MarineLorD. I think Minework is for people that like to try and exacerbate their lead in the early game. You know, I win one fight, let's win the next one even bigger. MarineLorD is the calculated, methodical man of Age of Empires 4. I win small, and then in 50 minutes, I would have won big because of it. So Arhen makes more sense for him because of it.
Now, MarineLorD also going for this dock play, it's a little bit risky, of course, because now you've invested 150 resources into something that doesn't instantly pay off. It's going to need a little while, especially with LucifroN now going for a Sabahi, most likely just from that military school, but we see a lot of them on wood. So he will most likely be able to produce a lot of things soon as the stable now comes out too, and slowly but surely, that Sabahi mass is going to make quick work of a few archers. So MarineLorD, he needs to think about what he is producing next. Are we going to see some horses or just good old spearmen?
I mean, horses is how it all went wrong before, right? I don't think we want to do that again to ourselves. Infantry definitely makes a lot of sense for HRE, where they get a lot of lean advantage. Obviously, it makes you a bit slower to the point that your opponent could be setting up docks. A little bit surprised LucifroN didn't try to creep that, by the way. I thought he might just go to the back corner and do some docks himself, but we saw in game one, if you think about it, when MarineLorD took an economical approach, LucifroN went all in. And with the Vizier point just ticking, we get confirmation of it happening again. Imams just entered the field.
Now, the double dock here from MarineLorD is also a pretty hefty investment. Now, it is going to allow him to get food from both ponds, but the question is just, is he going to actually get anything from this once that push starts? Because with that double imam, you usually see the heavy push follow right after. And this is still a pretty heavy investment on just archers. Now, Sabahis being produced constantly, and we don't see that second military school just yet. And it doesn't look like LucifroN is going to be heading towards that either, as he's not putting anything on stone. He's going to be producing units, just good old units from original buildings.
Whoa. Could you imagine that? Good old units, original build. Wouldn't be me passive producing into Sabahi plays every day of the week. Such a nice comp to scale. And, you know, if you think about you mentioned earlier, H3 has like the Men-at-Arms get out of jail free card in some matchups. This is not one of them. Sabahi would erase you without the meta because they can kite you so easily. But if you do go too hard into ranged or melee here, it makes it much harder to beat against Ottomans, which is why you're seeing MarineLorD bounce a perfect 50-50 composition.
Yeah, instantly being able to get that extra ranged armor changes this so much. We see that Mechter now coming on in as well. And that's what you need. You're about to push. You might need those drums to just change the stats a little bit. So we do see those green dots getting ready to move on out as they are pretty close, just circling with the Sapahis, because we know those bad boys can run away when they need to. But the problem is MarineLorD is getting value from those docks every second this ticks. The green docks are starting to multiply as well, and this does feel pretty good for LucifroN here. So he either had to do damage to MarineLorD on the water, or he could just double down and get double the economy on water. And that's exactly what he does, because his docks are just that much cheaper.
Yeah, most definitely. And he has snuck them so far away that with this infantry comp, MarineLorD shouldn't see it. I think, is that 4 docks already from LucifroN? I think it is. He's stacked up here. Good lord.
This man is he's a hungry man. He just needs to ensure that the food is there for that Sapahi production, because now yet another one coming on in. But you can see with these fishing boats, they are getting their value. The thing is just there's not enough to compete with LucifroN as the time goes on, because now he's on 9. And yes, also a limited edition, because those are just 4 shoreline fish. That is still going to produce a lot of Sapahis that MarineLorD needs to find an answer to. You see, he's only got...
I was going to say, he can definitely afford to buy sushi in real life to kind of make up for what he's trying to get in game here if he wins this one. Because reminder, folks, like just winning this game will guarantee increase LucifroN's earnings by another $1,100 from this event. Not bad. To think the way that this could happen, I mean, have you considered that tomorrow... it could be the quickest grand final of the history of AoE4 if this happens, because MarineLorD would then be at risk of running into Vortex, who might be him. And we all know what happens when Vortex and LucifroN meet in elimination matches. Average game length of 9 minutes.
Those two, they are so used to one another's style. They know exactly when the other one has enough of a need for it just not to be worth it anymore. But I want you guys to notice, there's nothing in the production queue of MarineLorD right now. And yes, you could just say it's a little bit of idle for now. A few archers being added in as he's getting 4 on the goal. The man might be thinking of something that could be very dangerous to think about with the supplies we see on the field. But the archers now from LucifroN, a significant chunk of them, and there's +1 coming. But there's a tower on the gold. And guys, I hope you're ready. Are you ready for a good old Castle Age HRE? Because LucifroN, he's not.
Oh man, no hesitation to be had here. You know, maybe he doesn't want to get married in real life, but it can't be commitment issues in this game. If he's going castle, you can't half-arse it. Not against Sipahi wave. You're either all in on the defense or all in on the greed. He's stepping up very aggressively, but I kind of like this. It's feigning aggro to keep LucifroN away from the base, to keep the Sipahi out of a position where they could dive in.
Now, the Sipahis realize their advantage. Counting the amount of legs on those guys, they are going to be able to outrun an army. But keep in mind, HRE army, these guys run a little bit faster than the others. So now he does push out just to make sure that LucifroN keeps making units. He doesn't feel confident going into castle himself. And now we're getting dangerously close. The thing is, at this point, you also have to ask yourself, is he going to have enough food to constantly keep producing? Because, of course, he's only got the 2 docks, but he's got the gold in the bank to get every upgrade he's going to need, especially with 10 on gold. While he ages up, this is going to give every bit he needs to get every unit on this field very, very chunky. He gets to make men-at-arms the moment this hits too, and all of a sudden, that huge mass is going to be quite hard to handle. Another barracks coming down too. So I'm foreseeing quite a bit of armored units in this composition pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you know, I mean, he hasn't got that many farms, right? I'm thinking whether Burgrave could be your get out of the problem zone here. Because if you tech with Regnants, like, you're very, very exposed. So he's going to keep up the men-at-arms now. I get, like, if you can get the count up to 15 and then age up with Regnants, like, there's safety net there, right? Easier said than done, especially when you consider that he may have towered this gold, but the secondary gold's pretty far away, and he could end up burning through quite a lot of capital here.
But he realizes this is a risky move, and just like that, he makes men-at-arms. He's like, okay, I can probably not do this right now without dying. And this is something I talk to my stream about quite a lot as well. When do you go castle? When you know you're not going to die instantly. And MarineLorD realized, I might die the moment I hit castle. So, very smart move from here now, just ensuring that he gets a little bit of, extra bit of units there on the field, because men-at-arms, you get to make those guys in Feudal, and you want to have them if you're planning to get upgrades for them too. But with the amount of archers we see here, this does feel like he's going to be able to withstand a little bit of a push. The problem is this is not a little bit of a push, this is a massive one.
No, this is at the crescendo of the birth. Just one more big push, we're almost there, Sally. The Sipahi count, another 5 queued up. MarineLorD struggling to find that age up opportunity, recommits it all, but now is sitting there with 900 gold doing nothing. Sipahi charging in. It's a clash, a race to see if Sipahi or Spears get wiped first. The Imam snipe comes in though. LucifroN, he overextended with the healers. The second one also could be in trouble here if MarineLorD just targets it. That's gone. There's no healing now for Lucy.
And this is when LucifroN commits. You can see the Sipahis felt very aggressive in that moment. But MarineLorD gets the confidence he needs to keep fighting back and forth with this. Now, at 1,000 gold, he's got everything in the bank he could ever need. But LucifroN realizes, I just lost my edge. I need to make this work. I need to do a significant amount of damage because my opponent, he's got a lot of firepower. And just having a few men-at-arms in there, once they start pushing out, this is going to become a lot harder to just micro through. Sipahi is feeling very confident now. We do have a few spears there at the front lines, but LucifroN doing an amazing job at target firing those down. You can look at the amount of units he has, and every single time there's a push that happens, you see the spearman number falling because LucifroN is just target firing those guys so quickly because he knows those Sipahis is what he needs to actually take him down. Now keep in mind, again, we're still on 2 docks for MarineLorD, but we've got a farm transition happening at the back too, and this is a pretty good spot to be in, I would say, for MarineLorD. if you have that farm transition online, the problem is just it needs to be online for at least 2 or 3 minutes before you really see the benefits of it.
Yeah, well, Aachen speeds it up a little bit, so it's not as tragic. And it has been gradually a few farms added in. So MarineLorD, it's not going to be like when you watch China try and switch granaries and it's a bit of a panic. But LucifroN, you can see he's on the apex of hitting the point he needs to. Do you notice what MarineLorD done in that last attack? He just stood his ground at the choke point. If he gets pushed into that choke point, his spearmen are disadvantaged against Sipahi because of the Sipahi having the extra range where multiples can attack. So MarineLorD has been doing everything he can to keep the spread wide so that the DPS of his spears doesn't get decreased. He does a good job of holding here, but how about this for a twist? LucifroN will be the first person into age 3.
And that was something that LucifroN forced MarineLorD into. That type of aggression we saw from LucifroN. MarineLorD knew if he was going to go for castle himself in that moment, he'd be dead. But now, with LucifroN just keeping that push going, he was able to force MarineLorD to keep making units. Only for a short while, as we see MarineLorD also taking this opportunity to get that cathedral out now. And he is going to be making good plays
The classic.
LucifroN.
Against infantry, right? Like against infantry, you kind of know you can get away with this without it being insanely greedy.
Now,
What a play as well.
LucifroN feeling quite confident getting out on the map for the rest of these ponds. This is going to ensure that his production is going to be quite scary to handle. MarineLorD, seeing that age up, he pulls back for a second though. He realizes, I just need to not lose my units. I need to get my upgrades, and I will have a shot at taking this fight. The problem is just lances coming in from LucifroN too. With the spearmen we have from MarineLorD, that's pretty great to have already. But is this going to be enough to handle those lancer raids that will very quickly go on those wood lines if he looks away, or just on the farms with no safe refuge?
What I'd love to see from LucifroN is actually just a moss drop. You have full map control right now, and the key objective at HRE is relics. So rushing them down, because the thing is, normally after doing this from Ottomans, you just have 2 imams to pick up relics straight away. It doesn't have that. So there's still some time for MarineLorD to work with. Comes down to how he handles this defense. Just keep his veterancies. They're about to kick in for LucifroN. They have a 30-second window here to get damage done, but it's not an easy dive.
The archers are just target firing everything they want. Oh, Mechter's paying the price. The tower focus firing back as well. And now that buff that the Mechter was going to give, it's not there.
No, but he's chasing. I think he's activating Fortitude as well for the better attack speed. MarineLorD hesitant because the Archer upgrade kicked in, and he knows they can beat everything here. He's biding time for the veterancy, but MarineLorD, is the farms now idled up. The Eco lead is still holding strong for LucifroN, and if you can shutter these farms, there shouldn't be a second wave. Spearmen get baited forward. Archers standing their ground now. Even without the meta, they've got the advantage. They've even got damage 2 on the way. MarineLorD, can he get the clash? The spears? A good hit in. Supply count down to about 8. And the Archer wave is finning. MarineLorD will not die that easily.
Now, LucifroN, even though he loses a significant portion of this army, he does have quite a bit of an advantage when it comes to the villager count, because we can see with those fishing ships, it is just adding so much. The thing is, did he overcommit too much here? Because as I say that, he just lost so much more.
It's like if the farms weren't there and your opponent didn't already have veterancy for spearmen, this is good for LucifroN because he has Lancer Pump coming. But MarineLorD, is it 2 racks? Is 3 racks? I think it's 2, right? If it's at least 2, I think he's safe. He's got 3.
Racks,
so
yeah.
with farms back online, he should have the time to build up the spears. And LucifroN is wholly committed to Lancer production. We're not seeing a switch into more archers. We're not seeing like a mass Springles strat come. Springles would actually be sick here to queue up instead of the mangonels.
The thing is, LucifroN needs to hit a little bit of an attack here. He needs to find a bit of damage, just a little bit more idle time, so that this can pay off for him. That sacrifice that we just saw was immense. We see the destroyed value on the side of MarineLorD. He had killed so much, and those villagers are living their best lives on those farms. Soon enough, they will have reinforced towers all around them, safety for the ages. But he doesn't invest too much here. Only got 2 prelates on the map, and that's the beauty of having the imams. You usually get to deny the relics, but he lost those, and just because of that, MarineLorD just has that little bit of an extra edge. Now the Lance is trying to get a connection on these archers, but the spearmen are standing at the ready at the back. It doesn't look like LucifroN is able to take these spearmen out quick enough before they do significant damage, as those horses are made into kebabs so quickly.
More like shish kebabs with those spearmen seemingly going through to the other side. And, well, the numbers are ahead from MarineLorD, and the interesting part is now the crossbow switch up. The Lancers aren't going to get much of a window here to jump through. They're going to try in the time being, but gravitation around the back maybe can catch off the first few crossbowmen before they get too big. The problem is the spearman wave is still too good. MarineLorD clears him up, and after a loss like that, LucifroN is scaling archers, not just because it's against spears, but because if we check the pawns back at home, he can't have much life left in some of those.
Now,
yeah, not even working. Perfect time, actually.
He does have a bit of food left on the other pawns that he later went into, but for how long? MarineLorD now having all the safe food in the world. We know that with Ottomans, you do get passive units. The problem is, 1 out of 4 military schools, this is not the usual Ottoman snowball that we see. And losing a mangonel here could be massive. He tries to get one good shot off before it goes down. The archer's there, standing at the back. Oh, but the mangonel, he's a little bit stuck here. Unit's a little bit too close for him to hit a land, but does get one rocket shot off, and a few archers do take a hit. But now Springholds are going to be next. The archers do pretty good work of cleaning them up, and one will quickly take a lot of damage, but the villagers are a juicier target for them.
Easy worker kills, almost gets the spring as well. Reveals that it's a transition to Springholds, which means MarineLorD says, okay, I'm not going to hardcore spearmen then. I'm going to just go more ranged, really. Or like archers plus crossbows. Does give an opening for LucifroN to go back into Sipahi if he realizes it, though. Like, actually, Sipahi would be LucifroN's best friend here.
I am so amazed at seeing that LucifroN chooses not to go for the military schools, because we see so many top players swear by it. Swear by the fact that with those passive units, you just overtake your opponent. I say that and I see a little mining camp placed there at the north, but Palace of Swabia is coming in for MarineLorD. And he's playing that disgusting part of HRE that we all fear. The HRE that just doesn't want to die and will have infinite amount of villagers.
Yeah, Love Hotel is still ridiculous from HRE. You know, we don't see it as often because they understand the nuances of how it can kill your game. But, you know, LucifroN, he's on timer here. He's lost some of the momentum for a push easily. Archer Mass is not really going to do anything too permanent into stat defenses. And well, there are going to be a lot of those stat defenses. MarineLorD looking to anchor on the 4K. It's going to be a triple outpost drop. LucifroN, I wonder if when he hears the tech up, does he just mirror an age up? Because he's at least shrunk the Regnitz threat. It's a 3-2 split on relics.
Usually with the Ottomans going into Imperial, you get quite a bit of an advantage when you have all those military schools online. And I feel like the strength in Ottomans doesn't just come from their instant age up, but with HRE, you want to do damage when they have invested so many resources into the age up. I just don't know if LucifroN is going to be able to find that damage, I say, with that massive army heading straight towards the base. But MarineLorD's army has been pulled to the north, and this could be a little bit of an opening. But LucifroN pulls back.
I think he knows. It's Palace of Swabia. By the time you get there, your opponent's already added in God knows how many workers, an extra 5. You have to kill workers so fast to justify it. So instead, it is going to be an impost. LucifroN backs up and just looks the next stage.
And the question is now, what does he get from this? Yes, we have access to faster free siege. We've got great bombards. But what is our answer to actually keeping up with the Palace of Swabia? Palace of Swabia produces villagers for so cheaply, and ensuring your opponent doesn't have 3 relics is great, but we're still on a 2 relic HRE that is very happily getting double the gold value. So it does still feel like a ticking time bomb, even though it's HRE. The thing is, Ottomans, they always feel like a ticking time bomb themselves.
Yeah, that eco chart is depressing, though. This is the point where he's deleting the fishing boats, and it coincided with the Swabia coming out. So you're just seeing this crash course between the two on the charter. But Dive's coming in. Lancers are going to delay the farms a little bit. LucifroN needs to buy a little bit more time, and he'll have it. MarineLorD is just pinned in his own base. He's just hunkering down for the late game economy. And once you do have that passive production line with Ottomans, it is wild what Istanbul will do. We never really say Seagate Castle because screw the trade. I'm still a little bit bummed that we aren't at the point where we have enough Vizier point options that feel good, that we get the alternate Castle Age landmark, it's still always the Mehmed.
The Mehmed just giving you that free siege, especially in the late game, feels so strong. I can just imagine what they would need to put into those vizier points to actually make them the viable choice. KP, I don't think AoE is ready for the type of stuff they need to put in those bonuses for anyone to choose another landmark.
Like, you needed like an extra tier in there that doesn't exist right now. Spawn 5 great bombards. And you just call it 10-pin Ottoman bowling, you know?
And now that is the type of point system that will make people make Reddit posts. So don't give them any crazy ideas.
I mean, you know, it's the same thing Dota taught me over the years, is make everything broken and then everyone has fun and also hates the game simultaneously. But they keep playing. They keep playing.
Now, LucifroN able to get that 5th military school pretty soon as well. And now, with those military schools all online with the Istanbul Observatory, they are going to be ticking pretty well. They just need to stay alive for a little bit longer because keep in mind, those units are free. At some point, MarineLorD is going to stop making villages. The problem is just some point might still be a very far way off. He is tech switching, I would say, though, because he's floating quite a bit of resources. He's not pop capped, and I have a feeling we're going to be getting some knights because if you're not making anything from those barracks, and you're getting all of these. Oh no, never mind. He goes to the men-at-arms now. Elite army.
He's getting foot knights. There we go. Foot knights. We'll call them foot knights there. They move quick enough to be it. They hit pretty hard. But our mass men-at-arms here into Springolds is going to be a little bit rough, no?
Problem is, he's still got a lot of archers here, and these archers can focus fire what they need to pretty quickly. I'm just going to say that army from MarineLorD is on a very questionable side of the map. And
okay. Wait. Are you saying that the pink is not aligned with green?
Yes. No, I don't think the pink is supposed to be over there. And they could.
But fashionably, they work together, right? Like I can wear those.
I don't know if I would say fashionably, but it could definitely be a statement. And maybe MarineLorD is doing exactly that. He's giving us a statement. Zapais are trying to pick off a few reinforcements, but they do need to be careful. Luckily, they've got the legs on their side, so they do run a little bit faster into doing a little bit more damage. But those ranged units, they could be sitting ducks if those Zapahis find them running out alone. Problem is, there's a lot of Zapahis, so MarineLorD needs to be careful here. If he makes one misstep, he's not going to be able to replace that whole eco of his, or his whole army at least.
I'd really like to see MarineLorD get silk bowstrings here, actually. With Elite Army Tactics complete, it just makes a lot of sense once you see these springs. Because then you can just snipe them easy peasy. The Great Bombards are now being queued up. LucifroN is happy at 8 Springolds. Kind of crazy you just kept producing for that time being. And one Janissary. I hope that's a misclick. There's literally no reason really to produce Janissary until his archers are gone.
Now, the archers were taking a few shots there. As we see now, MarineLorD with the Swabia, he's got a great economy, right? But the problem is he's got nothing else. You don't get army from this, and LucifroN knows what kills villagers, and that's army. So that's exactly...
Not that, like, was it 17 food, and you can get 75 HP on them, and they do damage? I don't know. I think you're looking at this wrong, Mariko. We just need more Schwabias, and then it's the Peasant Rebellion.
Peasant Rebellion, get +3 attack on all of those guys as well, ensuring those fights turn your way. But this army is looking spicy, KP, and it looks like those elite Zapahis, they want to get on top of those archers.
The best light cavalry in the game, without a doubt. Especially when you scale into the late game. Now, the army's slow to arrive, it's Springolds, but he's anchoring, he sees all the Raxes, he's got probably a smile on his face at this point. The archers can't even get near that siege, and these choke points can choke you out. This is so difficult right now. His own buildings could kill him.
Those Springolds are just target firing in the most amazing spots. Oh, as we see the lines of units just taking damage. Archers are trying to get a little bit of damage on them.
Oh my god. It's a broadside shot. He just lined up for it. It's a knockout punch. MarineLorD now doubled up on military. LucifroN with the maximum penetration is about to send MarineLorD down to the lower bracket.
Someone finally taking down the chimp, and it being LucifroN here. After having a pretty tough year, he's showing us he's back. Those Springolds is getting everything that is ground united. And so the base of the HRE goes down. I'm sure nobody has ever seen an Imperial Age HRE losing. So congratulations, guys. We got to experience it all here, all now, and it being MarineLorD at that. LucifroN, absolutely phenomenal performance, showing us that there is a way that we can take down the GOAT.
People questioned the Springald change originally. They said, what do I do about Siege now? Oh, no, I missed that. Are you kidding me? Seeing Springald win games like this will always be more epic than what we had in the past. And what a way to do it. In Imperial Age, when everyone's like, great bombards, just get great bombards. LucifroN knew. Just get the springs up. Your opponent can't build archers and Separ. He's going to have to get some sort of front line, and he was there to wipe it. Talk about allowing your opponent to build the foundations of an empire to crumble him under. LucifroN, now the first player through to the EGC Masters Fall Grand Finals. And Warman, out of all the players on Finals weekend to talk about at the start of this tournament, this was not the one that people would have said was in Grand Finals. That's incredible.
And I absolutely love that we get to see this because, guys, this means we have a competitive top 8 scene, and it is spicy because Wham and Puppy Paw both looking so dominating. Anatand also being up there. LucifroN? He's aggressive. Where's Louis? Where's CSO? Actually, let's move that down. Top 10 competitive at the top. All of a sudden, now it is anyone's tournament. It's not the same experience we've had back then. Now anyone can take these, and I'm excited to see if Vortex might have something to say about meeting his brother all the way up there.
Oh yes, looking forward to him. I think we should have him on the line in a second for an interview. And I mean, you hyped up for a moment there, and then I realized what you just basically said, Wam. It's like, wow, Europe's winning the tournaments again. That's such a shock for the history of Age of Empires 4. I mean, we never had that in the history of Age of Empires 4. Oh god. It's I think it's like, you know, the interesting thing is like NA is just nibbling at the heels. But yeah, definitely I think that the big question mark for a lot of people is China and whether they can get back on board, or Asia in general, because I'm always a fan of round the globe. You know, it's lame when one region is dominating because it just means others can't cheer. Like, you know, starting in Dota 2, we were infamously bad on the comp scene when I cast it from a UK standpoint. So what would happen is if you had an event in the UK, it's not like if you have an event in France and everyone's cheering MarineLorD. There was an event where the locals adopted a South American team. That's where we're at. We didn't have our own horse in the race. So I think it's important to have that healthy composition. And I'm sure we'll see that because remember, folks, still got one major tournament at the end of the year, of course, the EGC Masters Finals, where you'll see a lot of these familiar faces. But it is time to get the man on the line himself. I'm sure emotions are high. Let's go talk to LucifroN. Do you want a moment longer, mate? Because that was incredible. First of all, congratulations, LucifroN, on a phenomenal victory. Last week, we had you on an interview, and you said you didn't feel in form. Surely, after a win like this, there can be no questions that you're back.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like, really, for me, I've noticed a massive improvement in the last 2 weeks. Like, just the week between the group stage and the round of 8 playoff matchup, I just figured out, because I don't think my issue was like speed or anything like that. It's just that I wasn't understanding properly what to do at each moment in the matchups. So I really took a couple of days to really think, like, how should I approach this different? Why am I so bad at the moment, right? And yeah, that combined with the practice with Vortex and MarineLorD, who are my 2 practice partners, I eventually got back to my level just in time, I guess.
So, you know, you've been practicing MarineLorD as well as Vortex. In the practice, did you clearly feel this? Was like, I mean, I guess I'm going to get to the were you holding back sort of thing to not reveal at all? Or was it actually really close already between you and him?
Oh, so we were practicing in the earlier stages of the tournament, so obviously not this last week, right? Because we were playing against each other. Back then I wasn't really in such a good shape. So like for me, practice the first month was in a way a nightmare in the sense that I kept getting farmed by both of them, like Vortex and MarineLorD. Like I had maybe a 20% map win ratio or something really bad against both of them. So yeah, it was just, again, a perfect timing for me to play properly just when it mattered the most in the playoff, right? Like after making it through the group stage and so on. But yeah, my win rate has been really bad up until like last couple of weeks or something.
I think the most important point in the set that we have to talk about is game 3 to game 4. You know, I can see what you're going for. You pick water map after water map. You know, it's something you're known for, a signature for you and your brother in particular. taking the hit, taking the knee twice in a row there, that must have been weighing heavily on you. Like, where were you at mentally at that point in the series, and how did you bounce back so well?
Yeah, it was annoying. Like the archipelago map. Well, I mean, it was Sushi against Ayubit, so I knew. Like I went into it thinking I was in a disadvantage, but I thought against most players I think I can still win that one, but no, not against MarineLorD. It was maybe quite a one-sided game. The Holy Island game, on the other hand, I felt like there was one moment where I could swear I just didn't kill his demo ship. Like he sent one demo ship and it exploded on like my 6, like in my entire navy. And up until that point, that game, I thought like maybe it was not necessarily like won, but I felt like the game was what I wanted it to be. But I've been competing for a few years already, so as soon as a game finishes, you forget about it, think what you have to do in order to win the next one, and just don't. I mean, like the worst thing you can do is playing a game and thinking, that demo ship in the previous game, because then you are going to lose the series. So yeah, how I did to come back, just simply ignore what happened, and it's a reset every game in a way.
Now, grand finals is no new experience to you, right? You've got the experience, you've been there over years, but you kind of said it yourself, week to week, the improvement has kind of been taking you by shock and storm. Going into this, there's probably that element of underdog, no pressure, just play your game. How do you now deal with the fact that you're starting to look like the favorite to take this whole tournament?
I mean, I try to not think so much in those terms. Like I just, I know who the 3 remaining players are, like MarineLorD and Vortex, how they play, and how should I approach my games against them, and just focus on that, right? Yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to keep thinking on whether you're the favorite or something like that. Like in general, I just try to not think too much about those things during the tournament. The only thing that can do to you is distract you a bit and make you play worse. So I don't know. I'm not thinking so much in those terms, and I don't feel the pressure when people consider me the favorite or when they don't. I just don't care.
Calm and cool. I respect that. I'm sorry I even said it. Like now it's on the mind. Now just go back to being innocently humble. I love you that way. LucifroN, big congratulations. You're our first grand finalist at EGC Masters Fall. We look forward to seeing you play tomorrow. I'm gonna let you get some rest. I'm sure you're gonna be cheering on your bro who will be playing up next against Naval.
Sure, thank you. Goodbye.